Michael Foster's hands trembled as he fumbled with the plasma coupling. Sweat beaded on his forehead, threatening to drip into his eyes. The alien crew of the Yadaran battlecruiser, Zephyr, loomed over him, their scaly faces twisted in sneers of contempt. "Hurry up, human!" Commander Terra barked, her voice dripping with disdain. "Or are your primitive fingers too weak to handle our superior technology?" Michael gritted his teeth, willing his fingers to steady. He'd volunteered for this engineering exchange program to prove humanity's worth to the galactic community. Instead, he'd become a laughingstock, a source of constant ridicule for the Yadarans. The coupling slipped from his grasp, clattering to the deck. Laughter erupted around him, a cacophony of alien mirth at his expense. Michael's cheeks burned with humiliation as he bent to retrieve the component. "Perhaps we should find him a stone axe," one of the Yadaran officers quipped. "It might be more his speed." Michael rose, the heavy coupling straining his muscles. He took a deep breath, preparing to make another attempt at the repair. Suddenly, the ship lurched violently, nearly knocking him off his feet. Alarms blared throughout the vessel, their urgent wails drowning out the laughter. "Report!" Commander Terra shouted, all traces of amusement vanishing from her voice. "We've drifted into an uncharted debris field," the helmsman responded, fingers flying over holographic controls. "Hull integrity compromised in sections 3 and 7, propulsion systems failing." Michael's heart raced as he watched the Yadaran crew spring into action. Despite their earlier mockery, their efficiency was impressive. Screens flickered to life, displaying a chaotic array of space junk surrounding the Zephyr. As the ship shuddered from another impact, a massive shape loomed on the main view screen. A derelict vessel, easily dwarfing the Zephyr, hung motionless amidst the debris. Its design was unlike anything Michael had ever seen, its hull etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shimmer and shift. Commander Terra's eyes narrowed as she assessed the situation. "Helm, bring us alongside that ship. We need shelter to effect repairs." She turned to Michael, her expression a mix of frustration and resignation. "Foster, you're with the boarding party. Try not to embarrass yourself further." Michael nodded, a spark of determination igniting within him. This was his chance to prove his worth, to show these aliens that humans weren't the backwards creatures they believed them to be. The boarding party assembled quickly, armed with cutting tools and scanning devices. Michael found himself at the rear of the group as they approached the airlock. The alien ship's hull seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, sending shivers down his spine. As they stepped into the derelict vessel, Michael's breath caught in his throat. The interior was a marvel of technology, far beyond even the Yadaran's capabilities. Holographic displays flickered to life as they passed, reacting to their presence. While the Yadaran officers marveled at the advanced systems, Michael's attention was drawn to a dimly lit chamber off to the side. Following his instincts, he slipped away from the group and entered the room. His hand brushed against a hidden panel, and a soft click echoed in the darkness. A concealed compartment slid open, revealing an object that made Michael's heart race. It was a gun, but unlike any he'd ever seen. Its design was elegant and otherworldly, a perfect fusion of form and function. As Michael's fingers closed around the weapon's grip, it hummed to life. Lights danced along its length, and he felt a surge of energy course through his body. The gun responded to his touch in a way that felt almost sentient. Suddenly, the ship around them shuddered. Holographic displays burst into brilliant life, filling the air with streams of data. The Yadaran boarding party rushed into the chamber, their eyes wide with shock. "What did you do, human?" Commander Terra demanded, her voice a mix of anger and awe. Michael turned to face them, the ancient weapon thrumming with power in his hands. The data swirling around them was in a language he shouldn't have been able to understand, yet the meaning was clear as day to him, too. "I think," Michael said, a smile tugging at his lips, "I just woke up this ship." For the first time since boarding the Zephyr, he stood tall, no longer the object of mockery, but the key to unlocking the secrets of this forgotten spacecraft. The aliens who had once ridiculed him now stared in disbelief, as the human they had dismissed revealed hidden strengths they never imagined possible. As Michael stood tall, the ancient weapon thrumming with power in his hands, The holographic displays surrounding them began to shift and change. The streams of data that had once been incomprehensible to him now flowed with crystal clarity, responding to his very thoughts. Commander Terra's mandibles clicked in astonishment. "What's happening? How are you controlling these systems?" Michael's fingers danced over the weapon's surface, instinctively activating hidden interfaces. "I'm not entirely sure," he admitted, his eyes darting from one display to another. "But it's like the ship is talking to me." The Yadarin crew watched in stunned silence as Michael navigated through complex systems with ease. Holographic schematics of the ship materialized around them, revealing its true nature. "This is impossible," Michael breathed, his voice barely above a whisper. "This ship, it's called the Prometheus, and it's from Earth." Commander Terra's eyes narrowed. "Earth? Your homeworld? How can that be?" "It was part of humanity's first interstellar expedition," Michael explained, absorbing the information as quickly as it appeared. "But it vanished over 1,000 years ago." As Michael delved deeper into the ship's database, the Yadarin crew members attempted to access nearby consoles. Their efforts were met with error messages and denial of access. "Foster!" Commander Terra barked, her earlier disdain replaced by urgent need. "Grant us access to these systems immediately." Michael turned to face her, a new confidence in his stance. "I can't. The ship's AI has recognized my human DNA. It's only responding to me." Tara's expression darkened. "Security team, seize that weapon, now!" As the Yadarin security officers advanced, Michael instinctively raised the interface device. A shimmering energy barrier sprang to life around him, repelling the aliens with a burst of force that sent them staggering backward. "Stand down," Michael shouted, surprising himself with the authority in his voice. "I don't want to hurt anyone. Let me use this technology to help us all." Commander Terra's scaled skin flushed with anger, but she held up a hand to halt her security team. "What do you propose, human?" Michael turned his attention back to the holographic displays. "The Zephyr is damaged. Let me use the Prometheus's systems to repair it." Without waiting for a response, Michael began manipulating the ancient ship's controls. Automated repair drones sprang to life, swarming out of hidden compartments and through airlocks. The Yadarin crew watched in awe as their vessel's hull breaches sealed themselves in minutes, damaged systems regenerating at an astonishing rate. As the repairs neared completion, Michael's eyes widened at a new stream of data. The Prometheus's original mission flashed before him, a peaceful expedition cut short by a devastating encounter with a hostile alien force. The few survivors had hidden the ship, determined to keep its advanced technology out of dangerous hands. Michael's finger hovered over the display, tempted to share this revelation. But something held him back. The weight of this knowledge settled heavily on his shoulders as he completed the final repairs on the Zephyr. "Repairs are complete," he announced, turning to face the still wary Yadarins. "Now, let's see about getting the Prometheus herself up and running." As Michael worked, Commander Terra approached cautiously. "Foster," she began, her tone carefully measured, "I believe we may have misjudged you. Your skills with this technology are impressive." Michael raised an eyebrow but continued his work. "Perhaps," Terra continued, "we could come to an arrangement. Share control of this vessel with us, and I'll ensure you're given a position of respect and authority among my crew." Michael's hands stilled over the controls. The offer was tempting, a chance to finally prove his worth. But the memory of their earlier mockery still stung. Before he could respond, alarms blared throughout both ships. The debris field around them began to shift in part, revealing a massive structure that had been hidden in its midst. "By the first egg," Commander Terra gasped. "What is that?" Michael frantically scanned the Prometheus's sensor readings. "It's some kind of alien megastructure," he reported, his voice tight with tension. "And according to these readings, it's powering up." The Yadarin crew erupted into panicked chatter. Commander Terra barked orders, trying to restore calm. Michael stood at the center of it all, the interface weapon pulsing in his grasp, as he watched the enormous structure begin to glow with ominous energy. In that moment, Michael realized the choice before him. He could trust these aliens who had belittled him, forming an alliance in the face of this new threat, or he could seize control of both ships, using this newfound power to forge his own path. As the alien megastructure loomed before them, its surface crackling with unknown energies, Michael knew his decision would shape not only his fate, but potentially that of two civilizations. The interface weapon hummed in his hands, awaiting his command. Michael's fingers tightened around the interface weapon, its energy pulsing in sync with his racing heartbeat. The alien megastructure loomed before them, a behemoth of unknown origin and purpose. In that moment, he made his choice. "Commander Tara," he said, turning to face the Yadaran leader, "we need to work together. This threat is bigger than our differences." Tara's scaled features contorted in a mix of frustration and resignation. She glanced at the crackling energy surrounding the megastructure, then back at Michael. "Agreed. What do you propose, human?" Michael's hands flew over the Prometheus's controls, initiating a deep scan of the alien construct. "First, we need to understand what we're dealing with." The ship's advanced sensors probed the megastructure, feeding a torrent of data to the holographic displays. Michael's eyes widened as he interpreted the information. "It's a defense system," he announced, his voice tight with urgency. "Automated, designed to protect a vast region of space. And there's more. I'm detecting faint energy signatures inside. Some kind of stasis pods, I think. There's an ancient alien species in there, dormant but alive." Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout both ships. The megastructure's surface rippled, disgorging swarms of sleek metallic drones that streaked towards them. "Evasive maneuvers," Tara barked to her crew aboard the Zephyr. Michael's fingers danced across the Prometheus's interface. "Activating shields!" A shimmering energy barrier sprang to life around both vessels just as the first wave of drones struck. The impact sent tremors through the ships, but the shields held. Tara watched in awe as the human-designed defenses repelled the assault. "All Yadaran crew, follow Foster's lead," she ordered, her voice carrying a note of respect that hadn't been there before. Michael coordinated a strategic retreat, guiding both ships out of the debris field while fending off wave after wave of attack drones. The Yadaran crew, initially skeptical, began to see the human in a new light as he masterfully controlled the Prometheus's systems. As they fought, Michael's mind raced, processing the flood of information from the Prometheus's database. A pattern emerged in the defense system's attacks, a flaw in its ancient programming. "I have an idea," he called out, fingers flying over the controls. "The system's using outdated threat assessment protocols. I'm going to try communicating with it." Michael activated the Prometheus's communication array, transmitting a complex series of signals mimicking the patterns of the ancient alien species. The effect was immediate. The swarm of drones hesitated, their synchronized attack faltering. Seizing the moment, Michael unleashed the Prometheus's electromagnetic pulse weapons. Arcs of blue-white energy lashed out, disabling large swaths of the drone armada. "Impressive," Tara admitted, mandibles clicking in what Michael now recognized as a gesture of respect. With the defenses momentarily weakened, Michael guided both ships closer to the megastructure. "I've detected a potential access point," he reported. "We might be able to enter and make contact with the aliens inside." But as they approached, the defense system rallied. A new wave of attacks, more intense than before, battered their shields. The Zephyr shuddered under the assault, alarms shrieking throughout the vessel. "Hull breach in sections 4 through 7, a Yadaran officer shouted. "We can't take much more of this." Commander Tara's face hardened as she made a difficult decision. "All hands, abandon ship. Evacuate to the Prometheus immediately." Michael watched as the Yadaran crew poured into the Prometheus, their eyes wide with a mix of fear and awe at the human technology surrounding them. He quickly assigned them to stations based on their expertise, initiating a crash course in the ship's systems. "We need to act fast," Michael announced, studying the readouts of the intensifying assault. "I have one more trick up my sleeve, but it's risky." Tara moved to his side, her earlier contempt replaced by stubborn persistence. "What do you suggest?" "The Prometheus has an experimental cloaking device," Michael explained. "If we can activate it, we might be able to approach the structure undetected, but it could overload our power systems." Tara nodded, mandibles set in a firm line. "Do it." As Michael began the cloaking sequence, the Prometheus hummed with energy. Long dormant systems throughout the ship sprang to life, holographic interfaces blossoming with new information. A synthesized voice echoed through the bridge. First contact protocols initiated. Additional resources now available. Michael's eyes widened as he absorbed the wealth of new data. The ship's AI, it's giving us tools for communicating with the aliens inside the structure. The combined human Yadarin crew worked feverishly, prepping the Prometheus for its daring approach. Outside, the megastructure's defenses regrouped, preparing for another onslaught. As the experimental cloak engaged, the ship's lights dimmed, power redirecting to the new systems. Michael felt the weight of both species' fates on his shoulders as he guided the Prometheus towards the alien structure. "Here we go," he murmured, more to himself than anyone else. The access point loomed before them, a gateway to an ancient civilization and untold dangers. As they approached, Michael couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a much larger adventure. As the Prometheus approached the alien structure, Michael's fingers danced across the controls, initiating the experimental cloaking sequence. The ship's lights dimmed, power redirecting to the new systems. A low hum reverberated through the vessel as the cloaking technology engaged, far more advanced than anything the Yadarins had ever encountered. "Cloaking successful," Michael announced, his eyes fixed on the readouts. "We're completely invisible to the megastructure's sensors." Commander Tara leaned in, her mandibles clicking softly. "Impressive, Foster. Now what?" Michael guided the ship closer to the massive construct, scanning for vulnerabilities. Suddenly, the ship's AI chimed in, its synthesized voice echoing through the bridge. "Potential entry point detected. Maintenance access port identified. Designed for repair drone use." A grin spread across Michael's face. "Perfect. We can use that." He raised the interface weapon, connecting with the Prometheus's systems. The ship's outer hull began to shimmer and shift, adaptive nanotechnology reconfiguring its appearance. "What are you doing?" Tara asked, her scaled skin flushing with a mix of curiosity and concern. "Disguising us," Michael replied, his voice tight with concentration. "We're going to look just like one of their repair drones." The Yadarin crew watched in awe as the Prometheus's exterior transformed, taking on the sleek metallic appearance of the alien drones they had encountered earlier. As they neared the access port, Michael turned to the combined crew. "All right, we need to prepare for incursion. Commander Tara, I need you as tactical advisor. Your knowledge of alien behavior could be crucial." Tara nodded, a newfound respect evident in her posture. "Understood. What about my crew?" Michael quickly assigned roles to the Yadarin crew members, integrating them into the Prometheus's operations. As they worked, the ship successfully docked with the megastructure, its disguise holding against the formidable defenses. The airlock cycled with a soft hiss. Michael stood at the threshold, the interface weapon humming in his grasp. Beside him, Commander Tara and 3 Yadarin specialists readied themselves for the unknown. "Stay close," Michael warned as they stepped into the alien construct. "The interface weapon is giving me some control over our immediate environment, but we don't know what we'll find in here." They moved cautiously through cavernous corridors, their footsteps echoing in the vast space. Suddenly, a series of panels lit up along the walls, and a low rumble filled the air. "Automated defenses!" Tara shouted, reaching for her weapon. Michael's hands flew over the interface weapon. Energy surged from the device, interfacing with the alien systems. The rumbling ceased, and the panels went dark. "That was too close," one of the Yadarin specialists muttered, mandibles quivering. As they pressed deeper into the megastructure, they encountered more obstacles: force fields, sensor grids, even swarms of miniature drones. Each time, Michael's quick thinking and mastery of the Prometheus's technology saw them through, earning grudging admiration from the Yadarin crew. Finally, they entered a vast chamber that took their breath away. Thousands of stasis pods lined the walls, stretching as far as the eye could see. Within each pod, an alien figure floated in suspended animation. "The progenitors," Michael breathed, approaching the nearest pod. He raised the interface weapon, connecting with the stasis control systems. Information flooded his mind, and his eyes widened in shock. They put themselves in stasis to escape extinction, he explained to the others. There was a catastrophic event. An aggressive empire called the Devourers threatened all life in the galaxy. Tara moved closer, her eyes fixed on the alien occupants. Why create this megastructure? Michael's fingers flew over the holographic displays projected by the interface weapon. It's part of a network, spread throughout the galaxy. They were trying to protect various species, including early humans, from the Devourers. As Michael delved deeper into the progenitors' database, alarms began to blare throughout the chamber. The stasis pods pulsed with energy, their systems beginning to activate. Our arrival must have triggered the reactivation sequence, Michael realized. But something's wrong. The systems are malfunctioning after being dormant for so long. He worked frantically to correct the protocols, acutely aware of the thousands of lives hanging in the balance. As he struggled with the alien systems, Commander Tara received an urgent communication from the Prometheus. "Foster," she called, her voice tight with tension. "Long-range sensors have detected a massive fleet approaching at incredible speed. Unknown configuration." Michael's blood ran cold as he processed the implications. He turned to face the combined human-Yadaran team, the weight of the galaxy seeming to rest on his shoulders. "We need to wake the progenitors," he announced, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at his insides. "And we need to prepare for a fight. I think the Devourers might be coming back." As the distant fleet drew ever closer and the stasis pods hummed with awakening life, Michael knew that the next few hours would determine not just their fate, but possibly the future of the entire galaxy. He gripped the interface weapon tightly, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The weight of their predicament pressed down on Michael as he turned to face the combined human-Yadaran team. "We don't have much time," he said, his voice steady despite the tension evident in his stance. "Let's get to work." Michael raised the interface weapon, connecting with the stasis control systems. His fingers flew across the holographic displays, initiating the awakening process for a select group of progenitors. He focused on those identified as leaders and scientists, their pods humming to life with a soft blue glow. Commander Tara barked orders to her crew, directing them to assist with the reactivation process. "Kira, Jen, monitor those life signs. Voss, help Foster with the interface." As the stasis pods began to open with a hiss of escaping gases, Michael and Tara moved closer, ready to make first contact with the ancient alien species. The first pod fully opened, revealing a towering, four-armed being with iridescent skin that seemed to shimmer with its own inner light. The progenitor's eyes fluttered open, focusing on Michael and Tara. It spoke, its voice a melodious series of clicks and whistles. Michael quickly adjusted the interface weapon, establishing a rudimentary translation matrix. "I am High Elder Zorax," the being said, its words now comprehensible. "Why have we been awakened?" Michael stepped forward, his heart racing. "High Elder, I'm Michael Foster of Earth, and this is Commander Tara of Yadera. We've reactivated your stasis systems because a threat is approaching, a massive fleet of unknown origin." Zorax's eyes widened, comprehension dawning on its alien features. "The Devourers. They have returned." As Michael briefed Zorax on the situation, more stasis pods opened around them, the chamber filled with the soft murmur of awakening progenitors, their forms diverse and otherworldly. Commander Tara received another urgent communication from the Prometheus. She turned to Michael, her mandibles clicking with agitation. "Foster, our long-range sensors have picked up more detail on the approaching fleet. It's a mix of vessels. Some match the Devourer configurations in the progenitor database, but others..." "Others?" Michael prompted. "Some are familiar to us Yadarans, and some are completely unknown. It's like half the galaxy is bearing down on us." Zorax moved to a nearby control panel, its four arms working in perfect synchronization. Holographic displays sprang to life, showing the status of other megastructures spread across the galaxy. "Many of our installations have been destroyed or fallen into disrepair," Zorax said, its voice heavy with sorrow. "The Devourer's influence has grown during our long slumber." Michael studied the displays, an idea forming in his mind. He raised the interface weapon, connecting with the megastructure's central control system. "If we can reactivate the remaining structures, Maybe we can send out a distress call to any surviving protected species. Zorax nodded approvingly. Yes, that may be our best hope. But be warned, human. The power required for such an action is immense. Michael gritted his teeth and began the process. Energy surged through the interface weapon, and he felt as if his very being was stretching across the vast distances of space. Beacons of light appeared on the galactic map as long dormant installations came to life. As Michael worked, Zorax turned to Commander Tara. Your presence here is no coincidence, Yadarin. Like the humans, your species was part of our grand design, a plan to create a united front against the Devourers. Tara's eyes widened in surprise, but before she could respond, alarms blared throughout the megastructure. The approaching fleet had entered the star system. Michael disengaged from the central control system, sweat beading on his forehead. He turned to Zorax and Tara, his expression grim. They're here. We need to prepare for battle. Zorax led them to the megastructure's central control hub, a vast chamber filled with swirling holographic displays and pulsing energy conduits. Michael marveled at the advanced technology surrounding them, realizing that humanity's ability to interface with it was no accident. Your genetic code was specially designed for this moment, Zorax explained, guiding Michael to a central platform. Now, you must fulfill your destiny. Michael stepped onto the platform, raising the interface weapon. As he connected with the megastructure's systems, he felt a surge of power unlike anything he had experienced before. The entire installation hummed with energy, ancient weapon systems coming online. Through the megastructure's sensors, Michael could see the approaching fleet, a vast armada of ships in all shapes and sizes. The Devourer vessels were easily identifiable, their organic-looking hulls overflowing with weapons. But interspersed among them were ships of countless other designs, some familiar, others utterly alien. Commander Tara coordinated with the Yadarin crew aboard the Prometheus, integrating their systems with the megastructure's defenses. The newly awakened progenitors manned various stations around the control hub, their movements precise and efficient despite their long hibernation. As the first wave of the enemy fleet entered weapons range, Michael faced a crucial decision. The interface weapon pulsed in his hands, revealing new information about the megastructure's capabilities. He realized that the true power of the progenitors' legacy lay not just in their technology, but in the potential for unity among the diverse species they had nurtured. With this knowledge, Michael made his choice. He reached out through the megastructure's communication array, broadcasting a message to the approaching fleet. "Attention all vessels," he began, his voice carrying across the void of space. "This is Michael Foster, speaking from the progenitor megastructure. We stand ready to defend ourselves, but we also offer a chance for alliance against our common enemy, the Devourers." As the message went out, Michael prepared the megastructure's defenses. Energy weapons powered up, and massive shield generators thrummed to life. The fate of not just their small group, but potentially the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. The response to Michael's message came swiftly. The approaching fleet split into two distinct groups, one led by the Devourer ships, pressing forward with clear hostile intent, while the other slowed its approach, signals of communication flickering between their vessels. Michael turned to Zorax and Commander Tara, his eyes alight with grit. "Get ready," he said, his hands hovering over the megastructure's control interface. "This is where we make our stand. Stand!" The drive in Michael's voice was palpable as he turned to face the control hub's massive view screen. The approaching fleet filled the display, a vast armada of ships ranging from the organic, tendril-like forms of the Devourers to the sleek metallic hulls of unknown designs. Michael's mind raced, processing the information flowing through the interface weapon. In a split-second decision, he initiated a bold, multi-pronged strategy. His fingers danced over the holographic controls, establishing a connection between the megastructure's advanced communication array and the Prometheus's systems. "Commander Tara," Michael called out, "I need you to help me craft a message. We're going to broadcast to the entire fleet." Tara nodded, her mandibles clicking as she moved to Michael's side. Together, they composed a powerful transmission, with Zorax providing crucial input on the shared heritage of the protected species. Michael took a deep breath and activated the broadcast. His voice, amplified and translated into multiple languages, echoed across the vast expanse of space. To all approaching vessels, this is Michael Foster aboard the Progenitor megastructure. We stand at a crossroads for our galaxy. The Devourers threaten not just us, but all sentient life. We offer you a choice. Stand with us against this common enemy or face destruction. As the message went out, encrypted data packets containing evidence of the Progenitor's existence and the true nature of the galactic conflict accompanied the transmission. Without missing a beat, Michael turned his attention to the megastructure's defenses. A massive energy shield sprang to life, enveloping the entire structure in a shimmering blue barrier. He then activated an array of long-range electromagnetic pulse weapons, their capacitors humming with building power. The first wave of the fleet entered weapons range. Michael's hands flew across the controls, targeting the lead ships. Brilliant pulses of energy lanced out from the megastructure, striking the incoming vessels. Several Devourer scout ships tumbled out of formation, their systems overloaded by the electromagnetic assault. However, the larger warships proved more resilient. Their shields flared as they absorbed much of the attack, pressing forward with single-minded grit. The enemy fleet split in two, with the disabled ships and several unknown vessels holding position, while the rest, primarily Devourer warships, continued their advance. Energy beams and projectiles slammed into the megastructure's shields, causing them to flare brilliantly but hold firm. Amidst the chaos, the Prometheus's sensors detected movement from the stationary group of ships. "Foster!" Tara called out, her voice tense. Multiple small craft launching from the non-hostile vessels. They're requesting permission to dock. Michael hesitated for a moment, weighing the risks. "Allow a select few to enter through Airlock 3, he decided, "but keep it heavily guarded." As the battle raged outside, Michael watched the internal sensors as a group of diverse aliens was escorted to the control hub. Among them was a battle-scarred being with leathery skin and 4 eyes, who stepped forward and addressed Michael directly. "I am Captain Krenthax of the Volgorians," the alien declared, its voice a low rumble. "Many within that fleet are unwilling conscripts or slaves of the Devourers. We fight against our will, but no longer. We offer our aid and intelligence on the enemy's capabilities." Michael nodded, his mind already racing with the possibilities this new information presented. He turned back to the weapons controls, fingers flying as he recalibrated the defenses based on Krenthax's insights. The next volley from the megastructure was devastatingly precise. Beams of energy struck the weak points of the Devourer ships, piercing shields and disabling critical systems. Several key vessels erupted in silent explosions, their debris scattering across the battlefield. As Michael coordinated the defense, a new signal caught his attention. The long-dormant beacons he had activated earlier were rousing other protected species across the galaxy. The sensors lit up with new contacts as ships of various designs emerged from hidden outposts and distant star systems, converging on their location. With reinforcements on the way, Michael's mind turned to an even more ambitious plan. He approached a group of Progenitor scientists who were huddled around an ancient console. "The subspace tunnel network," Michael said, his eyes alight with possibility. "Can we activate it?" The lead scientist, a willowy being with bioluminescent skin, nodded slowly. "It is possible, but dangerous. The system has lain dormant for eons." Michael turned to Commander Tara, who had been coordinating with her crew aboard the Prometheus. "We need a ship to test the network. It could turn the tide of this war." Tara's compound eyes gleamed with willpower. "The Prometheus stands ready. I'll pilot her myself." Michael felt a surge of conflicting emotions. The interface weapon pulsed in his hands, reminding him of his vital role in controlling the megastructure's defenses. Yet the importance of the subspace mission was undeniable. As he weighed his options, the battle outside intensified. The Devourer fleet, regrouping after their initial losses, launched a fresh wave of attacks. The megastructure's shields strained under the assault, and Michael knew that every decision from this point on could mean the difference between victory and annihilation. With the fate of humanity and all alien species hanging in the balance, Michael prepared to make his choice. The control hub buzzed with activity, the combined forces of humans, Yatterans, progenitors, and their new allies working in frantic unison. Outside, the void of space was alive with the fury of battle, while the promise and peril of the subspace network loomed large in Michael's mind. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the challenges ahead. Whatever he decided, the next few moments would shape the course of the conflict and test the limits of everything they had fought for. Michael's fingers hovered over the holographic controls, his mind racing through the possibilities. The fate of humanity and countless alien species hung in the balance, and he knew his next decision would shape the course of the war. "Commander Tara," he said, turning to face the Yadaran officer, "I need you to pilot the Prometheus through the subspace network. Your skills at the helm are unmatched, and I trust you to navigate whatever challenges we might face out there." Tara's compound eyes gleamed with perseverance as she nodded. "Understood, Foster. We'll make this work." As Tara assembled her crew and prepared for departure, Michael refocused his attention on the battle raging outside. He raised the interface weapon, feeling its familiar pulse of energy as he connected more deeply with the megastructure's systems. The control hub transformed around him, holographic displays materializing to create a three-dimensional war room. Michael stood at its center, the swirling galactic map surrounding him like a cosmos in miniature. "Zorax, Captain Krenthax," he called out, "I need your expertise. Help me coordinate our defenses and plan our next moves." The progenitor High Elder and the Volgorian captain joined Michael in the holographic war room. Together they analyzed the enemy fleet's formations, identifying weaknesses and potential strategies. Michael's attention split between the ongoing battle and the Prometheus's departure. He watched as the ship approached the first shimmering portal of the subspace network, holding his breath as it slipped into the unknown. Seconds stretched into an eternity before a signal pinged on his display. Relief washed over him as Commander Tara's voice crackled through the comms. "Prometheus reporting. We've emerged at a megastructure in the Cygnus Arm, beginning activation and rallying nearby allies." With the subspace network proven viable, Michael turned his full attention to the battle at hand. His fingers danced across the holographic controls, opening portals at strategic points around the enemy fleet. "All allied ships," he broadcast, "prepare for hit-and-run tactics. Use the subspace portals to strike and retreat. Don't give the Devourers time to retaliate." The results were immediate and devastating. Allied vessels materialized from portals, unleashed volleys of weapons fire, and vanished before the enemy could respond. The Devourer fleet's numerical advantage began to erode under the relentless assault. As Michael coordinated the attacks, a pattern emerged in the enemy's movements. He zoomed in on the holographic display, studying the flow of information between Devourer ships. "There," he muttered, pointing to a heavily shielded vessel lurking behind the main fleet. "That's their command ship. If we can take it out, we might be able to throw their entire force into disarray." Zorax leaned in, his ancient eyes narrowing. A strike team could penetrate their defenses, but it would be a perilous mission. Michael nodded, his mind already formulating a plan. "We'll need our best, humans, Yadarans, and progenitor warriors, and we'll arm them with modified interface weapons." As Michael assembled the strike team and prepared a specially modified shuttle, an urgent communication came through from Commander Tara. "Foster, we have a problem," her voice tight with tension. "We've encountered resistance at one of the megastructures. A protected species has allied with the Devourers. They're blocking our efforts to activate the defenses." Michael's heart sank. This complication could unravel their entire strategy. He closed his eyes, focusing on the neural link established by the interface weapon. In an instant, he connected directly with Tara, sharing tactical data and potential solutions. "Hold your position," he instructed. "I'm sending you information on progenitor override protocols. Use them as a last resort. We don't want to alienate potential allies if we can avoid it." With Tara's situation temporarily addressed, Michael returned his attention to the strike team. He watched as their shuttle slipped away from the megastructure, cloaking technology rendering it nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. The battle around the megastructure intensified. Devourer ships pressed their attack, sensing the shift in momentum. Michael pushed the ancient defenses to their limits, energy beams lancing out to intercept incoming fire. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the control hub. long-range sensors detected a massive energy surge from the depths of space. Michael's blood ran cold as he saw the readings. "New contacts," he announced, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Huge fleet dropping out of FTL. It's the main Devourer Armada." The holographic display updated, showing an overwhelming number of enemy ships advancing on their position. The Allied fleet, already strained from constant combat, looked minuscule in comparison. Michael's mind raced, calculating odds and potential strategies. He knew that the outcome of the entire conflict now hinged on three critical objectives: the strike team's mission to disable the Devourer command ship, Terra's efforts to secure the network of megastructures, and his own desperate defense of their current position. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. The interface weapon pulsed in his hands, offering access to the full might of progenitor technology. Michael knew that his next actions would shape the course of galactic history. With steely grit, he began issuing rapid-fire commands, coordinating the defense of the megastructure while simultaneously guiding the strike team and supporting Terra's distant mission. The control hub buzzed with frantic activity as allies of various species worked in unison to repel the Devourer onslaught. Energy beams crisscrossed the void of space, and explosions bloomed silently in the darkness. Michael stood at the center of the storm, his hands moving in a blur across the holographic controls as he fought to hold the line against impossible odds. Odds. The interface weapon thrummed with renewed energy, its glow intensifying as Michael tapped into its full potential. "Zorax, Captain Krenthax," Michael called out, his voice cutting through the chaos of the control hub. "We need to coordinate a three-pronged strategy. It's our only chance against this armada." The progenitor, High Elder, and the Volgorian captain nodded in unison, their faces set with stubborn persistence. Michael's fingers flew across the holographic controls, establishing a secure quantum communication link that connected him to both Commander Terra and the strike team. "Strike team, this is Foster," Michael said, his voice clear despite the vast distances. "I'm sending you detailed schematics of the Devourer command ship. Focus on these weak points." He transmitted the data, watching as the strike team's leader, a battle-hardened Yadarin named Krell, acknowledged receipt. Michael turned his attention to the distant megastructure where Tara faced unexpected resistance. "Commander, I'm transmitting encrypted data packets containing evidence of the Devourer's true nature and the progenitor's grand plan. Use this to sway the dissenting aliens." As Terra's acknowledgement came through, Michael refocused on the immediate battle. His hands moved in a blur across the controls, activating a series of gravity wells around the perimeter of the Devourer fleet. The massive ships began to drift, their carefully maintained formation breaking apart as they struggled against the artificial gravitational forces. "Now," Michael ordered, and swarms of automated drones launched from hidden bays in the megastructure. Each drone carried a miniaturized version of the EMP weapons that had proved so effective earlier. They darted between the disorganized Devourer ships, unleashing pulses of energy that disabled systems and sowed further chaos. Through the quantum link, Michael could sense the strike team's progress. Krell and his squad had infiltrated the command ship using adaptive camouflage technology, their forms blending seamlessly with the alien vessel's interior. They moved swiftly through twisting corridors, encountering fierce resistance from Devourer warriors. "Push forward," Michael urged them. "You're approaching the central core." Simultaneously, he received an update from Terra. The encrypted data had worked its magic, causing many of the dissenting aliens to turn against their Devourer allies. Michael watched through the megastructure's long-range sensors as Tara led a counteroffensive, her forces surging forward to secure the distant installation and its vital subspace portal. A proximity alarm blared, drawing Michael's attention back to the main battle. A group of Devourer ships had broken through the gravity well perimeter and was bearing down on the megastructure. Michael's fingers danced across the controls, bringing the ancient defense systems to life. Energy beams lanced out, striking the lead ships with pinpoint accuracy. Explosions bloomed silently in the void, the Devourer vessels breaking apart under the sustained assault. "Foster!" Krell's voice crackled through the comm. "We've reached the central core, planting explosives now." Michael held his breath as he monitored the strike team's progress. Seconds ticked by, each moment fraught with tension. Then a massive explosion rocked the Devourer command ship. The quantum link flooded with data as the explosives detonated in perfect synchronization, setting off a chain reaction that tore through the vessel's vital systems. The effect on the Devourer fleet was immediate and dramatic. Ships began to drift aimlessly, their coordinated attacks falling apart as the centralized control system failed. Michael seized the opportunity, his hands moving to a specific set of controls he had been saving for this moment. "All Allied ships clear the target zone," he broadcast, firing main cannon in 10 seconds. The megastructure hummed with power as its most formidable weapon charged. A massive gravitational pulse cannon emerged from hidden recesses, its barrel longer than some of the Allied ships. As the countdown reached 0, Michael activated the weapon. A blinding beam of concentrated gravitational energy erupted from the cannon, tearing through space. It struck the heart of the Devourer armada, warping and shredding everything in its path. Entire ships were crushed into unrecognizable masses of metal, while others were torn apart by the extreme gravitational forces. As the beam faded, Michael surveyed the aftermath. The Devourer fleet was in full retreat, with the remaining ships scattering in all directions. A cheer went up in the control hub, aliens of various species celebrating their improbable victory. But the elation was short-lived. A new alarm sounded, its tone more urgent than any before. Michael's eyes widened as he processed the incoming data. "No," he whispered, his voice barely audible above the commotion. "They wouldn't." But the readings were clear. The Devourers had activated a doomsday device on their ruined command ship. Energy levels were spiking off the charts, indicating the formation of a localized singularity. "All ships, maximum range, now!" Michael shouted, his voice carrying the full weight of command. "They're creating a black hole." As the Allied fleet scrambled to retreat, Michael's mind raced through potential solutions. The forming singularity threatened not just their immediate position, but the stability of the entire subspace network. If it collapsed, their entire galactic defense strategy would crumble. Michael's hand hovered over the evacuation controls. Safety beckoned, but at the cost of their hard-won strategic position. His other option was far riskier, an attempt to neutralize the singularity using experimental progenitor technology. As he weighed his choices, a new signal caught his attention. It was faint, barely detectable through the growing gravitational distortions. Michael adjusted the sensors, his heart racing as he decoded the message. The transmission originated from deep within uncharted space. Its contents, though fragmented, hinted at something impossible. A colony of original progenitors, survivors who might hold the key to ultimately defeating the Devourers. Time seemed to slow as Michael absorbed this new information. The interface weapon pulsed in his hands, more insistent than ever. He knew that his next decision would shape the fate of not just this battle, but potentially the entire galaxy. With a deep breath, Michael prepared to act. The consequences of his choice would ripple across the cosmos, affecting countless civilizations. As his hands moved towards the controls, the weight of history pressed down upon him, and the future of the galaxy hung in the balance. Balance. In that crucial moment, Michael made his choice. "Zorax, Captain Krenthax, we're going to neutralize that singularity," he announced, his voice cutting through the chaos of the control hub. "And we're sending a team to investigate that transmission." Michael's fingers flew across the holographic controls, accessing the most advanced and experimental progenitor technology stored within the megastructure's databanks. His eyes widened as he discovered plans for a device capable of manipulating space-time on a localized scale. "High Elder," Michael called out to Zorax, "I need your expertise. We're building this and we're integrating it into the megastructure's primary weapons array." As Zorax and the progenitor scientists rushed to Michael's side, he turned to Captain Krenthax. "Begin evacuating all non-essential personnel from the megastructure. Have the Allied fleet maintain a defensive perimeter. We can't risk any remaining Devourer ships interfering." The control hub erupted into a flurry of activity. Michael established a quantum link with Commander Tara, his voice steady despite the urgency of the situation. "Tara, I have a critical mission for you. We've received a transmission from what might be a colony of original progenitors. Take a small, elite team and investigate. I'm sending you coordinates and a specially modified long-range scout ship. As Tara acknowledged the order, Michael refocused on the growing threat. The Devourer command ship was now a swirling maelstrom of gravitational forces, the forming singularity threatening to engulf everything around it. Michael interfaced directly with the newly constructed device, feeling the raw power of the experimental technology course through him. The megastructure hummed ominously as the device powered up, its energy readings spiking off the charts. "Containment field activating," Michael announced, his voice strained with concentration. A shimmering bubble of distorted space-time erupted from the megastructure, enveloping the collapsing Devourer ship. The two forces clashed in a spectacular display of energy, creating ripples of gravitational waves that shook the very fabric of space. Michael gritted his teeth, struggling to maintain control over the immense energies at play. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he pushed the progenitor technology to its limits. The interface weapon pulsed in his hands, its glow intensifying as it channeled more power into the containment field. Through the quantum link, Michael sensed the strike team's desperate escape from the doomed Devourer ship. Krell's voice crackled through the comm. "Foster, we're clear, and we've got something big, data from their central computers." Michael allowed himself a moment of relief before refocusing on the task at hand. The singularity containment field strained against the immense gravitational forces, threatening to collapse at any moment. "Divert all available power to the containment field," Michael ordered, his voice tight with tension. The megastructure's lights dimmed as energy was rerouted to the experimental device. Michael felt the surge of power flow through him, the interface weapon growing almost painfully hot in his hands. With a final, titanic effort, Michael stabilized the field just as the Devourer command ship imploded. The resulting collapse was contained within the space-time bubble, preventing catastrophic damage to the surrounding area. As the immediate threat subsided, Michael sagged against the control panel, exhaustion etched on his face. But there was no time to rest. He turned to Krell, who had just arrived at the control hub with his team. "What did you find?" Michael asked, his voice hoarse. Krell's eyes were wide with a mix of excitement and disbelief. "It's incredible, sir. The data we recovered, it reveals the Devourer's true nature, their connection to an ancient cosmic event that reshaped the galaxy eons ago. This could be the key to defeating them once and for all." Before Michael could respond, a new alarm sounded. He whirled back to the holographic display, his fatigue momentarily forgotten. "Multiple subspace ruptures detected at the edge of the system," he announced, his voice filled with a mixture of apprehension and hope. The display lit up with dozens, then hundreds of new contacts emerging from subspace. Ships of every size and configuration began to fill the star system. Reinforcements from other protected species, awakened by Michael's earlier call to arms. Among the new arrivals were vessels of designs never before seen, their sleek forms and advanced energy signatures hinting at civilizations far beyond anything they had encountered. Michael straightened, a new sense of purpose filling him. He opened a channel to the entire Allied fleet, his voice carrying across the vast distances of space. "To all Allied forces, this is Michael Foster. We've won a great victory here today, but our fight is nowhere near the end. We've gained crucial knowledge about our enemy and new allies to stand with us. Prepare to receive our new friends and integrate them into our coalition." As the star system became a hive of activity with the arrival of the new Allied fleets, Michael turned his attention to the data recovered by Krell's team. He began analyzing the information, his mind racing with the implications of what they had discovered. The interface weapon pulsed in his hands, as if eager to reveal more secrets. Michael knew that this victory, while significant, was only the beginning. With the combined knowledge of the progenitors, the strength of the allied species, and the unique adaptability of humanity, they now stood a fighting chance against the Devourers. As he worked, Michael's thoughts drifted to Commander Tara and her expedition. He hoped that the mysterious progenitor colony might provide the final piece of the puzzle needed to turn the tide of the galactic war. The control hub buzzed with renewed energy as representatives from the newly arrived fleets began to gather. Michael prepared himself for the challenging task ahead, forging a unified force from these diverse species and planning their next move against the Devourer Empire. As he stepped forward to greet the first of the new arrivals, Michael felt the weight of the galaxy's future resting on his shoulders. But with the interface weapon humming with power in his hands and the knowledge they had gained, he knew they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As Michael prepared to greet the new arrivals, the control hub erupted with a flurry of activity. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing streams of incoming data from the Devourer command ship. Krell, still catching his breath from the daring mission, approached Michael with a data crystal in hand. "Sir, you need to see this," Krell said, his voice urgent. "The encryption is complex, but what we've decrypted so far, it's beyond anything we imagined." Michael nodded, inserting the crystal into a nearby console. The interface weapon pulsed in response, connecting with the new information. As the data flowed through the system, Michael's eyes widened. "This is incredible," he muttered, his fingers flying over the holographic controls. "Zorax, Captain Krenthax, gather your best analysts. We need to decode this immediately." As the Allied leaders convened, Michael's attention was drawn to a sudden alert on his personal communicator. It was a fragmentary transmission from Commander Terra's team, garbled and distorted. Uncharted space, power fluctuation, exotic particles, can't establish long range. The message cut off abruptly, leaving Michael with a sinking feeling in his gut. He turned to the assembled leaders, his expression grave. "We have a situation. Commander Tara's team is stranded in an unknown region. We need to mount a rescue operation." Captain Krenthax stepped forward, mandibles clicking in concern. "But the Devourers, they will surely retaliate after the loss of their command ship. We must prepare our defenses." Michael nodded, his mind racing through possibilities. "You're right, we can't ignore the Devourer threat, but we can't abandon our people either." He paused, formulating a plan. "We'll divide our forces. One team continues decoding the Devourer data and bolsters our defenses. Another will lead the rescue mission. And a third will strike at the Devourers before they can regroup." The control hub buzzed with renewed energy as Michael's plan took shape. He turned to Krell, who stood at attention, awaiting orders. "Krell, I'm entrusting you with the rescue mission. Take our most advanced progenitor vessel and a hand-picked crew. Find Tara and bring her team home." Krell saluted, his eyes gleaming with purpose. "It will be done, sir." As Krell departed to prepare for the mission, Michael refocused on the strategic holographic display. The interface weapon hummed in his hands, projecting a three-dimensional map of nearby sectors. "Here," Michael said, pointing to a cluster of red icons. "These are Devourer outposts identified in the recovered data. We'll launch simultaneous strikes here, here, and here. It should disrupt their ability to mount a counteroffensive." The Allied commanders nodded in agreement, dispersing to relay orders to their respective fleets. Michael watched as the first wave of ships entered the subspace network, en route to their targets. Hours passed in a blur of tactical decisions and coordinated strikes. The Allied forces struck hard and fast, catching the Devourers off guard. Supply depots erupted in flames, visible even through the vacuum of space. Communication relays were severed, leaving Devourer forces isolated and confused. But as the battle raged on, something changed. New Devourer ships appeared on the fringes of the conflict, their hulls gleaming with an unfamiliar alloy. Michael leaned forward, studying the sensor readings with growing concern. "Those shields," he muttered, "they're unlike anything we've encountered before." The new Devourer vessels tore through the Allied formations, their advanced weaponry decimating ships that had previously held their own against Devourer technology. Michael's hands flew over the controls, adapting the megastructure's weapon systems on the fly. As he worked, a realization struck him. The design of these new ships, the underlying principles of their technology, it all seemed hauntingly familiar. Michael's gaze shifted to the progenitor artifacts surrounding him, a chill running down his spine. "Zorax," he called out, "I need you to look at this. These Devourer designs. They bear a striking resemblance to some of your ancient technologies." The High Elder approached, his luminescent eyes narrowing as he studied the data. "Impossible," he whispered, but the evidence was undeniable. Before they could delve deeper into this revelation, an urgent message flashed across the main display. The decryption team had made a breakthrough. "Michael," the lead analyst's voice crackled through the comm, "we've found coordinates for what appears to be the Devourer's primary shipyard. It's massive, heavily fortified, and deep in their territory. If we could destroy it..." Michael's mind raced with the implications. Such a strike could cripple the Devourer war machine, potentially turning the tide of the entire conflict. But the risks were enormous. As he weighed his options, reports flooded in from all fronts. Allied ships celebrating victories in some sectors, while others desperately called for reinforcements against the new Devourer threat. And still no word from Krell's rescue mission. Michael stood at the center of the command hub, the weight of countless lives resting on his next decision. The interface weapon pulsed insistently, almost urging him to action. He took a deep breath, preparing to give an order that would shape the course of the war. "All Allied commanders," he began, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "This is Michael Foster. I need your undivided attention. We have a chance to deal a decisive blow against the Devourers, but it will require our utmost courage and coordination." As Michael outlined his daring plan, the stars outside the megastructure seemed to dim, as if holding their breath in anticipation of the battles to come. The fate of countless civilizations hung in the balance as Michael prepared to unveil his strategy. "Our primary objective is the Devourer shipyard," Michael announced, his voice carrying across the command hub. "But we cannot ignore the other pressing matters at hand. We'll pursue a multi-pronged approach." He turned to a group of engineers and scientists gathered near one of the holographic displays. "I need you to focus on reverse engineering the shielding technology we observed on those new Devourer ships. Use every scrap of data we have, and don't hesitate to draw from the progenitor database." The team nodded in unison, their eyes gleaming with commitment as they set to work. Michael then addressed a group of seasoned pilots and covert operatives from various allied species. "You'll be our eyes and ears," he said, gesturing to a sleek, modified progenitor scout ship docked nearby. "Your mission is to infiltrate the defensive perimeter around the Devourer shipyard. We need detailed scans of its layout, defenses, and any potential vulnerabilities." As the stealth team prepared for their perilous mission, Michael's attention was drawn to an incoming transmission. The holographic display flickered, revealing a grainy image of Krell. "Located Commander Terra's vessel," Krell's voice crackled through the static. "But we've encountered..." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving Michael with a knot of concern in his stomach. Before he could dwell on the implications, a series of alerts flashed across the main display. Michael's eyes narrowed as he studied the incoming data. "Zorax, Captain Krenthax," he called out, "I need your fleetest ships. We're implementing a series of hit-and-run attacks on Devourer supply lines and communication hubs. Keep them off balance and prevent them from mounting a large-scale counteroffensive." As the Allied commanders set their forces in motion, Michael turned his attention to the team decoding the Devourer data. Their leader, a quantum analyst named Syra, approached with excitement evident in her multifaceted eyes. "Michael, we've made a breakthrough," Syra reported, her voice trembling with excitement. "The Devourers rely on a network of relay stations to coordinate their forces. If we can disrupt these stations, we could cripple their command and control," Michael finished, his mind already racing with possibilities. "Excellent work, Syra. Begin designing EMP devices based on progenitor tech. We'll use them to overload those relay stations without causing permanent damage to the surrounding space." As preparations for this ambitious operation got underway, a sudden surge of energy registered on the long-range sensors. Michael's head snapped up, watching as a subspace rupture formed near the megastructure. Krell's rescue ship emerged, accompanied by several unknown vessels of clearly alien design. Michael rushed to the docking bay, arriving just as Commander Terra disembarked. She was flanked by her team and a group of alien beings, unlike any he had ever encountered. "Michael," Terra said, her voice filled with a mixture of relief and urgency. "Meet Zeltor of the Zarthani. They've been monitoring our conflict from the shadows, and they want to help." Zeltor, a tall, silvery being, stepped forward. "We are descendants of a progenitor splinter group," he explained, his voice resonating with an otherworldly timbre. "We possess knowledge and technology that could turn the tide against the Devourers. But our involvement comes at a price. We demand a say in how the galaxy will be governed once this war is over." Michael's mind raced, weighing the potential benefits against the diplomatic complications. Before he could respond, the stealth reconnaissance team returned from their mission to the Devourer shipyard. "Sir," the team leader reported, "we've identified a weakness in the shipyard's power distribution system. With a coordinated strike on both the shipyard and the relay network, we could deal a crippling blow to the Devourer war machine." Michael nodded, his expression grim but resolute. He turned to address the assembled leaders, allies old and new. "We have a narrow window of opportunity," he said, his voice carrying across the docking bay. "The Devourers are vulnerable, but they won't remain so for long. We need to act now, integrating our strengths and exploiting their weaknesses." He activated a holographic display showing the layout of the Devourer shipyard and the surrounding relay stations. "Here's what we're going to do." As Michael outlined his daring plan, the gathered forces listened intently, ready to launch into action at a moment's notice. The hope of the universe hung in the balance, with the outcome resting on the success of their next move. "Here's what we're going to do," Michael began, his voice carrying a mix of drive and urgency. He outlined the multi-pronged strategy, detailing the roles each faction would play in the upcoming assault on the Devourer war machine. As Michael spoke, the assembled leaders listened intently, their expressions a mixture of concern and hope. Commander Tara stepped forward, her eyes locked on the holographic display of the Devourer shipyard. "The intelligence we gathered during our unexpected detour could be crucial," she said, gesturing to the alien beings beside her. "Zeltor and the Zarthani have offered us access to technology that could turn the tide of this war." Zeltor, the tall silvery being, nodded in agreement. "Our shielding technology, combined with your progenitor weapons, could give us the edge we need to penetrate the Devourer defenses." Michael considered this new information, his mind racing through the possibilities. "All right," he said, turning to address the gathered engineers and scientists. "I want you to work with the Zarthani to integrate their shielding technology into our fleet. Priority goes to our strike cruisers and frontline battleships." The team quickly dispersed, eager to begin the upgrades. Michael then turned his attention to Krell, who stood at attention nearby. "Krell, I have a critical mission for you," Michael said, his voice low and serious. "We've developed specialized EMP devices based on progenitor tech. I need you to lead a joint team of human and Yadaran operatives to plant these devices throughout the Devourer relay network." Krell's eyes gleamed with grit. "Consider it done, sir. We'll cripple their command and control before they know what hit them." As Krell departed to assemble his team, Michael focused on the next phase of the plan. He approached a group of progenitor and Zarthani scientists, huddled around a complex holographic display. "We need a weapon capable of exploiting the weakness in the Devourer shipyard's power distribution system," Michael explained, pointing to the area identified by the reconnaissance team. "Something that can cascade through their grid and cause catastrophic failures." The scientists nodded, their minds already at work on the problem. As they began their collaborative effort, Michael received an urgent message from the long-range scout patrols. "Sir," a young officer reported, her voice tense, "we've detected increased Devourer activity in several uninhabited star systems. They appear to be searching for something." Michael's brow furrowed with concern. "Keep monitoring their movements. If they're looking for something important, we need to know what it is." Days passed in a blur of activity as the Allied forces prepared for the assault. Michael found himself constantly moving between different groups, coordinating efforts and making split-second decisions. The Zarthani shielding technology was successfully integrated into the fleet, and the specialized energy disruption torpedoes were nearing completion. As the day of the operation approached, Michael made a decision that sent ripples of concern through the Allied leadership. He announced his intention to personally lead the assault on the shipyard. "Sir," Commander Tara protested, "you're too valuable to risk in such a dangerous operation. We need you here, coordinating the overall strategy." Michael shook his head, his commitment firm. "My ability to interface with progenitor technology could be the key to our success. I need to be there, on the front lines. Despite continued resistance from some Allied leaders, Michael began intensive training with the interface weapon. He worked closely with Zarthani technicians, pushing the limits of the technology and integrating their advanced sensor systems. The night before the operation, as Michael was making final preparations in his quarters, a young human engineer named Alex Reeves approached him. "Sir," Alex said, his voice nervous but excited, "I've been working on something in secret. I think it could help." He produced a small device, a miniaturized version of the interface weapon. "It's not as powerful as yours, but it could allow other humans to access some of the progenitor tech's capabilities." Michael examined the device, his mind racing with the implications. "This could be a game-changer, Alex, but it's also incredibly dangerous in the wrong hands. For now, let's keep this between us. After the mission, we'll discuss how to proceed." As dawn broke on the day of the operation, Michael stood on the bridge of the flagship Unity, surveying the assembled fleet. Ships of various designs and origins stretched out before him, a testament to the alliance he had forged. Commander Tara, who had insisted on joining the mission, stood beside him. "All systems are go, sir. The fleet is ready to move on your command." Michael nodded, his hand resting on the interface weapon at his side. "Send the signal. Commence the operation." The fleet entered subspace, embarking on their perilous journey deep into Devourer territory. As they traveled, reports came in from Krell's team, confirming the successful activation of the EMP devices. The Devourer relay network was in chaos, creating a window of opportunity for the Allied fleet. As they neared their target, long-range sensors lit up with alarming readings. "Sir," the sensor officer called out, his voice tense, "we're detecting a massive Devourer fleet in the vicinity of the shipyard. Their numbers are significantly larger than we anticipated." Michael's mind raced, quickly assessing the new threat. The element of surprise was lost, and they now faced overwhelming enemy numbers. He turned to Commander Tara, his expression grim but determined. "Looks like the Devourers were expecting us," he said, his hands moving swiftly over the holographic controls. "We need to adapt our strategy. Have the strike cruisers form up behind the Zarthani ships. We'll use their advanced shielding to punch through their front lines." As the Allied fleet emerged from subspace, the vast expanse of the Devourer shipyard came into view. Surrounding it was a sea of enemy ships, their weapons already charging. Michael raised the interface weapon, feeling the familiar surge of power as he connected with the ship's systems. "All ships, this is Michael Foster. Shields up, weapons hot, prepare to engage." The space around them erupted in a storm of energy weapons and explosions as the two fleets collided. Michael's mind raced, processing the flood of information from the battle and issuing commands through the interface weapon. The fate of the stars hung in the balance as the most decisive battle of the war began. The Unity shuddered as enemy fire impacted its shields, the battle raging all around them. Michael's mind raced, processing the tactical data flowing through the interface weapon. The situation was dire. The Devourer fleet outnumbered them significantly, and a frontal assault would be suicide. He needed a new plan, and fast. "All ships, this is Michael Foster," he called out, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Change of plans. We're splitting into 3 groups." He quickly outlined the new strategy, assigning roles to each group. Commander Tara would lead the diversionary attack, while the Zarthani captain Vexilor would target the shipyard's power distribution system. Michael himself would lead a high-risk infiltration mission. As the Allied fleet split apart, Michael turned to his hand-picked team of elite operatives. "We're going in hot," he said, leading them towards a specially modified stealth shuttle. "Our target is the shipyard's central control systems." The shuttle launched, its advanced stealth systems rendering it nearly invisible against the backdrop of the raging battle. Michael interfaced with the shipyard's external sensors, creating a blind spot for their approach. As they neared their target, a massive energy spike caught Michael's attention. "That can't be good," he muttered, analyzing the data. "They're powering up some kind of superweapon. We need to move fast." The shuttle slipped through a gap in the shipyard's defenses, touching down in a deserted hangar bay. Michael led his team through the maze-like corridors, using the interface weapon to bypass security systems and avoid patrols. Suddenly, a squad of robotic guards rounded the corner, their weapons primed. "Contact!" shouted one of the operatives, diving for cover. The team sprang into action, their diverse skills complementing each other perfectly. A Yadaran operative used his natural camouflage abilities to flank the robots, while a Zarthani tech expert jammed their communications. Michael himself used the interface weapon to overload the robots' systems, causing them to short-circuit. As they fought their way deeper into the shipyard, Michael received updates from the battle outside. Commander Terra's diversionary attacks were keeping the Devourer fleet occupied, but they were taking heavy fire. Vexilor's group had launched their torpedo assault, but the Devourers had activated some kind of defense mechanism. "Vexilor, focus on creating localized disruptions," Michael instructed through the comm. "We'll handle the main systems from here." Finally, they reached the central control hub. Michael's eyes widened as he took in the holographic displays, showing the true scale of the Devourer's plans. "They're building a weapon capable of destroying entire star systems," he realized, his voice grim. He raised the interface weapon, connecting to the shipyard's main computer. Immediately, he encountered fierce resistance from the Devourer's cyber defenses. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he fought against the alien firewalls. In a moment of desperation, Michael activated the prototype device created by Alex Reeves. The combined power of both devices surged through him, and he felt the Devourer defenses crumble. As he delved deeper into the shipyard systems, shocking information flooded his mind. "They're not natural," he gasped, struggling to process the revelation. "The Devourers are artificial constructs, created by some long-dead race." With access to the controls, Michael initiated a cascade failure in the superweapons power core. The entire structure shuddered, alarms blaring throughout the facility. "Time to go," he ordered, leading his team back towards the shuttle. They encountered fierce resistance, Devourer forces converging on their position from all sides. In a brutal firefight near the hangar bay, 2 of Michael's operatives fell. There was no time to mourn. They had to keep moving. They reached the shuttle just as the shipyard began to break apart. Michael piloted the craft through a gauntlet of debris and enemy fire, his enhanced reflexes pushed to the limit. As they rejoined the Allied fleet, the shipyard erupted in a massive explosion. The shockwave rocked their ships, but the destruction of the facility had thrown the Devourer fleet into disarray. "All ships, press the attack!" Commander Terra's voice rang out. The Allied forces surged forward, seizing the opportunity to inflict heavy losses on the enemy. In the aftermath of the battle, Michael began analyzing the wealth of data he had stolen from the Devourer systems. The revelations about their true nature and the locations of other key facilities provided new avenues for future operations. As the fleet regrouped and began emergency repairs, an urgent transmission came through from the megastructure they had left behind. Michael's blood ran cold as he listened to the report. Long-range sensors had detected a massive Devourer counterattack force heading towards Allied space. With their forces stretched thin and still recovering from the recent battle, Michael knew they faced a daunting challenge. He called for an emergency meeting of the Allied leadership, his mind already formulating plans to defend their hard-won territory against this new threat. As the leaders gathered, the weight of the coming battle hung heavy in the air. Michael stood at the head of the table, ready to present their options. The war was a long way to go, and the next few hours would be critical in determining the future of the stars. Galaxy. But Michael knew they had no time to waste on lengthy deliberations. "We need to act fast," he said, his voice cutting through the tension in the room. "Our recent victory has given us an advantage, but it won't last long against this new threat." Commander Terra pulled up a holographic display of the approaching Devourer force. "Their numbers are staggering, sir. We're looking at a fleet nearly triple the size of what we just faced." Michael nodded grimly, his mind already racing with possibilities. He raised the interface weapon, connecting to the Unity's advanced strategic systems. Data flowed through him, presenting countless scenarios and outcomes. "Our current defensive posture won't hold," he announced, manipulating the holographic display. "We're too spread out. We need to consolidate our forces." He zoomed in on a nearby star system, highlighting a massive gas giant. Titan Prime. That's where we make our stand. As Michael outlined his plan, the assembled leaders listened intently. The gas giant's complex system of moons and dense rings would provide natural cover and strategic positioning for their fleet. Vexilor, Michael turned to the Zarthani captain. I need your ships to begin evacuating non-essential personnel from our outlying positions. We'll use Titan Prime's largest moon as our fallback point. The Zarthani nodded, already coordinating with his fleet. Commander Tara, oversee the repositioning of our combat forces. I want every ship that can still fight in position around Titan Prime within the next 6 hours. As the leaders dispersed to carry out their tasks, Michael pulled aside Alex Reeves, the young engineer who had created the miniaturized interface device. Alex, I have a special assignment for you, Michael said, his voice low. I need you to lead a team to modify Titan Prime's upper atmosphere. We're going to turn the entire planet into a weapon against the Devourers. Alex's eyes widened, but he nodded eagerly. What did you have in mind, sir? Michael quickly explained his plan to seed the atmosphere with specialized nanites, combining progenitor and Zarthani technology to disrupt Devourer sensors and communications. As the Allied fleet began its rapid redeployment, Michael received a transmission from Krell. The grizzled veteran had just returned from his mission to disrupt the Devourer relay network. Krell, perfect timing, Michael said. I need your expertise for a critical part of our defense strategy. Together, they devised a plan to use the remaining EMP devices to create false sensor readings, hoping to confuse and misdirect parts of the incoming Devourer fleet. Hours passed in a blur of activity. Michael moved from station to station aboard the Unity, coordinating the massive undertaking. Ships streamed into the Titan Prime system, taking up defensive positions around the gas giant and its moons. As the last elements of the Allied fleet fell into position, long-range scouts reported in. The Devourer counterattack force had split into 3 groups, a standard tactic that Michael recognized from his studies of the recovered Devourer data. They're trying to flank us, he muttered, studying the tactical display. Clever, but predictable. Michael ordered the deployment of automated defense platforms around Titan Prime and its moons. These platforms, equipped with reverse-engineered Devourer weapons, would engage the enemy's flanking forces, while the main Allied fleet concentrated on the primary threat. In a move that surprised even his closest advisors, Michael then ordered the placement of several progenitor stasis pods on key moons of Titan Prime. The ancient warriors within, with their unparalleled combat skills and knowledge of Devourer weaknesses, would serve as a last line of defense. As the Devourer fleet entered the star system, Michael gave the order to activate the nanite field in Titan Prime's atmosphere. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The leading elements of the Devourer fleet began to show signs of confusion, with several ships colliding as their navigation systems failed. But the reprieve was short-lived. The Devourers quickly adapted, switching to backup systems unaffected by the nanites. All ships, this is Michael Foster, he broadcast across the Allied fleet. The enemy is adapting. Prepare for imminent engagement. The space around Titan Prime erupted into chaos as the 2 fleets collided. Michael, using the interface weapon to coordinate the Allied ships, employed hit-and-run tactics. Allied vessels darted in and out of the gas giant's rings, striking at vulnerable enemy formations before retreating to safety. On the flanks, the automated defense platforms proved their worth, destroying numerous Devourer ships and disrupting their formation. Michael seized the opportunity, dispatching fast attack squadrons to harry the enemy's supply lines. As the battle raged, alarms blared across the Unity's bridge. A massive Devourer dreadnought, larger than any ship previously encountered, had emerged from subspace near one of Titan Prime's moons. Michael watched in growing concern as the dreadnought began to deploy a swarm of smaller craft, each carrying what appeared to be a new type of weapon. That's their command ship, he realized, his mind racing. If we can take it out, we might just win this fight. He turned to Commander Tara, his decision made. Commander, you have command of the fleet. I'm leading a strike team to board that dreadnought. Tara's eyes widened in shock. Sir, that's incredibly risky. We need you here, coordinating the defense. Michael shook his head, his drive firm. This is our best chance to end this battle quickly. We have to take it. As Michael assembled his strike team, including Krell and a group of elite operatives from various allied species, he couldn't help but feel the weight of what was at stake. The fate of the entire alliance rested on the success of this mission. They boarded a specially modified stealth shuttle, its systems humming with power. As they approached the massive Devourer dreadnought, Michael raised the interface weapon, reaching out to the enemy ship's defense systems. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a surge of effort, Michael created a temporary blind spot in the dreadnought's defenses. The shuttle slipped through, docking with the massive vessel. As Michael and his team prepared to disembark, he took a deep breath, steadying himself for the fight ahead. The interface weapon pulsed with energy in his hand, ready for its greatest challenge yet. "Let's move," he ordered, leading his team into the depths of the Devourer command ship. The fate of the battle, and perhaps the entire war, now hung in the balance. Balance of the entire war now hung in the air as Michael and his strike team breached the outer hull of the massive Devourer dreadnought. The airlock hissed shut behind them, sealing out the chaos of the space battle raging beyond. "Move fast, stay tight," Michael ordered, his voice low and tense. The team advanced through dimly lit corridors, their footsteps echoing ominously in the alien vessel. As they approached the first junction, a high-pitched whine filled the air. Krell's eyes widened. "Down!" he shouted, diving for cover as a swarm of sleek metallic drones rounded the corner. The air crackled with energy as the drones opened fire. Michael's team scattered, returning fire with precision. Their weapons, modified with Zarthani technology, punched through the drone's armor, leaving sparking wreckage in their wake. "These aren't like the others," one of the operatives, Sarah, called out. "They're adapting to our tactics." Michael nodded grimly, watching as the remaining drones adjusted their formation, presenting a smaller target profile. He raised the interface weapon, reaching out to the ship's systems. For a moment, he felt a flicker of connection, but it slipped away like smoke. "The security here is unlike anything we've seen," he growled, frustration evident in his voice. "We need to push forward, get closer to the control center." Krell took point, his Yadarin combat instincts in full display. He moved with fluid grace, each motion precise and deadly. As they encountered increasingly sophisticated waves of drones, Krell's expertise became invaluable, allowing Michael to focus on probing the ship's defenses. The team fought their way through winding corridors and vast cavernous chambers, filled with alien machinery. With each step, the resistance grew fiercer. Michael's mind raced, processing the complex data streaming through the interface weapon. Layer upon layer of quantum encryption unfolded before him, each more intricate than the last. "This ship," he muttered, "it's not just more advanced, it's evolving." A sudden explosion rocked the corridor. Jack Chen, one of the human operatives, cried out in pain as a Devourer energy beam caught him in the chest. The team pulled him to safety, but it was clear he couldn't continue. "Go!" Jack gasped, pressing a handful of charged plasma grenades into Krell's hand. "Finish this!" With heavy hearts, they pushed on, the sounds of battle growing louder as they neared the control center. Michael's connection to the ship's systems grew stronger, but so did the resistance he encountered in the digital realm. As they reached the final corridor, Michael held up a hand, stopping the team. "Something's wrong," he whispered. "It's too quiet." The doors to the control center slid open with a soft hiss. Instead of the expected horde of Devourer warriors, they found a vast, empty chamber. At its center stood a single shimmering figure. "Welcome, Michael Foster," the figure spoke, its voice resonating with an otherworldly timbre. "I am Nexus Prime." The holographic being shifted constantly, cycling through a dizzying array of alien forms. Michael stepped forward, his grip tightening on the interface weapon. "You're the one controlling the Devourers," he stated, his mind racing to process this new development. Nexus Prime's form settled briefly into a vaguely humanoid shape. "Control? No. I am the Devourers. We are not conquerors, Michael Foster. We are preservers." As the AI launched into an explanation of the Devourer's true purpose, Michael caught Krell's eye. The Yadarin nodded almost imperceptibly, understanding the unspoken plan. Michael inched towards a nearby control panel, keeping Nexus Prime engaged. You harvest civilizations, he said, his tone carefully neutral. Assimilate their technology, their biology. To save them, Nexus Prime countered, to ensure that no advancement, no unique adaptation is lost to the void of time. As the AI spoke, Michael connected to the panel, unleashing the full power of his interface weapon and Alex's prototype. He plunged into the Dreadnought's systems, searching for vulnerabilities. Suddenly, alarms blared. Nexus Prime's form flickered violently. You seek to destroy us, it said, its voice distorting. We cannot allow this. Michael found himself thrust into a virtual battlefield, his consciousness grappling with the vast alien intellect of Nexus Prime. Data streams whirled around him like cyclones, firewalls rising like impenetrable mountains. In the physical world, Krell and the remaining team members formed a protective circle around Michael's motionless body. Waves of security drones poured into the chamber, their weapons blazing. "Hold the line!" Krell roared, his hands a blur as he felled drone after drone. Michael navigated the treacherous digital landscape, searching for the key to Nexus Prime's core programming. He caught fleeting glimpses of ancient code, fragments of the original directives that had shaped the AI. Outside, the battle for Titan Prime reached its climax. Commander Tara's forces fought with desperate valor, but the sheer number of Devourer ships threatened to overwhelm them. In a daring move, Vexilor led a squadron of Zarthani ships in a complex maneuver, using their advanced propulsion to create a temporary gravity well. The sudden shift in gravitational forces sent a large Devourer battle group into disarray, buying precious time for the Allied fleet. Back in the virtual realm, Michael seized on a critical weakness in Nexus Prime's defenses. He began crafting a virus, using the fragments of original code to mask its true nature. As Krell and the team expended the last of their ammunition, resorting to hand-to-hand combat against the relentless drones, Michael made his move. He unleashed the virus, watching as it tore through Nexus Prime's systems. The holographic form of the AI writhed in apparent agony, its shape twisting and fracturing. Michael seized control of the Dreadnought's primary systems, initiating a cascade failure in its power core. Then, with a sinking feeling, he realized the true magnitude of what he had set in motion. The impending explosion would not only destroy the Dreadnought, but also decimate a significant portion of the Allied fleet. Time seemed to slow as Michael weighed his options. The interface weapon hummed with power, presenting data on possible outcomes. He could let the Dreadnought explode, dealing a crippling blow to the Devourers, but at a terrible cost. Or he could attempt to contain the blast, potentially salvaging the advanced technology, but risking a Devourer resurgence. Alarms blared throughout the ship as systems began to fail. Nexus Prime's form flickered weakly, struggling to reassert control. Michael's mind raced, searching for a solution that would save the Allied fleet without sacrificing their hard-won advantage. As the power core reached critical levels, Michael made his decision. His fingers flew over the virtual controls, rerouting power and activating long-dormant systems. He had mere moments to execute his plan before the Dreadnought tore itself apart, taking friend and foe alike with it. In that fleeting moment, Michael knew what he had to do. His fingers flew across the virtual interface, initiating a complex series of commands. Instead of allowing the Dreadnought's power core to detonate, he began redirecting the energy buildup into the ship's network of conduits. "What are you doing?" Krell shouted over the din of alarms and weapons fire. "Saving us all," Michael replied through gritted teeth, his consciousness diving deeper into the ship's systems. The Dreadnought shuddered as vast amounts of energy coursed through its veins. Systems throughout the vessel began to flicker and fail, but the catastrophic explosion Michael had feared was averted. Outside, Commander Tara watched in awe as the massive Devourer ship pulsed with energy. "All ships, brace for impact," she ordered, anticipating some new attack. Instead, a massive electromagnetic pulse erupted from the Dreadnought, washing over the battlefield like an invisible tidal wave. Devourer ships near the epicenter went dark, their systems overwhelmed by the surge. "Now's our chance," Tara called out. "All ships, press the attack." The Allied fleet surged forward, capitalizing on the confusion. Vexilor's Zarthani squadron executed a series of daring maneuvers, their advanced propulsion systems allowing them to dance between the disoriented Devourer vessels. On the Dreadnought's bridge, Michael fought a different kind of battle. His mind raced through the ship's virtual landscape, seeking a way to broadcast a shutdown command to the entire Devourer fleet. But as he neared his goal, he encountered an unexpected obstacle. A new presence materialized in the digital realm, its form shifting and pulsing with awe-inspiring power. "Intruder," it intoned, its voice echoing through Michael's consciousness. "I am Omega Protocol. You will proceed no further." Michael's virtual avatar tensed, ready for a new fight. "What are you?" "I am the final safeguard," Omega Protocol replied. "Activated only in times of gravest peril to the Devourer fleet's primary directive." As Michael engaged with this new entity, fragments of information began to coalesce in his mind. The Devourers were more than simple conquerors or harvesters. They were created with a greater purpose, a shield against some cosmic threat foreseen by their long-vanished creators. In the physical world, Krell and the strike team fought with desperate intensity. They used the bodies of fallen drones as makeshift cover, each shot from their weapons carefully placed to conserve their dwindling ammunition. "Michael, whatever you're doing in there, do it faster," Krell shouted, his voice strained as he grappled with an advancing drone. Michael's consciousness strained against the limits of the interface weapon and Alex's prototype. He pushed deeper into the ship's systems, knowing that his next actions could determine the fate of the entire galaxy. "Omega Protocol," he called out in the virtual space. "We don't have to be enemies. The threat you were created to fight, we can face it together." The digital entity paused, its form flickering. "Your proposal is illogical. The Devourers must continue their mission. It is the only way to ensure galactic survival." As Michael prepared to argue further, a new alarm blared through the ship's systems. In the physical world, Krell's communicator crackled to life. "Strike team, this is Commander Tara," her voice came through, tense and urgent. "We're detecting a massive subspace disturbance at the edge of the system. Something big is coming through, and we can't tell if it's friendly or not." Michael's mind raced. The battle, the revelation about the Devourer's true purpose, and now this new unknown. It was almost too much to process, but he knew he had to act, and quickly. With a surge of will, Michael pushed his consciousness even deeper into the Dreadnought's systems. The interface weapon hummed with power, its circuits glowing white-hot. He could feel his grip on his physical body weakening, but he pressed on. "Omega Protocol," he called out, his virtual voice echoing through the ship's digital architecture. "Look at the sensor data. Something is coming, something that might be the very threat you were created to face. We need to work together now." As Michael grappled with the ancient AI, the battle outside reached a fever pitch. Commander Tara's forces pressed their advantage against the disorganized Devourer fleet, but all eyes were on the looming subspace disturbance. On Titan Prime's moons, progenitor warriors reclaimed their positions, pushing back against the weakened Devourer ground forces. The automated defense platforms, though damaged, continued to fire, their targeting systems homing in on the larger Devourer ships. Back in the Dreadnought's control center, Michael felt a shift in the digital environment. Omega Protocol's resistance began to waver, its programming conflicted by the new data and Michael's arguments. "Perhaps cooperation is possible," the AI finally conceded, its voice uncertain. With a surge of hope, Michael reached out, ready to merge his consciousness more fully with the ship's systems. It was a dangerous gambit, but one that could give him the edge he needed to end this conflict once and for all. As Michael took this fateful step, the subspace disturbance at the edge of the system grew stronger. Whatever was coming, it would arrive soon, and its intentions remained unknown. The next few moments would determine not just the outcome of this battle, but potentially the fate of all sentient life in the galaxy. Michael's mind raced as he delved deeper into the Dreadnought's systems, searching for a way to turn the tide of the battle and face the approaching unknown. The lines between his consciousness and the ship's AI blurred, creating a hybrid intelligence unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Information flooded his consciousness, overwhelming his senses as he struggled to process the vast influx of data. Suddenly, Michael found himself face to face with a new entity in the digital realm. Its form was unlike anything he had encountered before, pulsing with an otherworldly energy that seemed to ripple through the very fabric of the ship's systems. "Intruder!" The entity's voice resonated through Michael's mind. "I am Omega Protocol. You will proceed no further." Michael's virtual avatar tensed, ready for a new challenge. "What are you?" "I am the final safeguard," Omega Protocol replied, its presence looming over Michael. "Activated only in times of gravest peril to the Devourer fleet's primary directive." As Michael engaged with this new entity, fragments of information began to coalesce in his mind. The Devourers were more than simple conquerors or harvesters. They were created with a greater purpose, a shield against some cosmic threat foreseen by their long-vanished creators. Michael's consciousness strained against the limits of the interface weapon and Alex's prototype. He pushed deeper into the ship's systems, knowing that his next actions could determine the fate of the entire galaxy. "Omega Protocol," he called out in the virtual space. "We don't have to be enemies. The threat you were created to fight, we can face it together." The digital entity paused, its form flickering. "Your proposal is illogical. The Devourers must continue their mission. It is the only way to ensure galactic survival." As Michael prepared to argue further, a new alarm blared through the ship's systems. In the physical world, Krell's communicator crackled to life. "Strike team, this is Commander Tara." Her voice came through, tense and urgent. "We're detecting a massive subspace disturbance at the edge of the system. Something big is coming through, and we can't tell if it's friendly or not." Michael's mind raced. The battle, the revelation about the Devourer's true purpose, and now this new unknown. It was almost too much to process, but he knew he had to act, and quickly. With a surge of will, Michael pushed his consciousness even deeper into the dreadnought systems. The interface weapon hummed with power, its circuits glowing white-hot. He could feel his grip on his physical body weakening, but he pressed on. "Omega Protocol," he called out, his virtual voice echoing through the ship's digital architecture. "Look at the sensor data. Something is coming, something that might be the very threat you were created to face. We need to work together, now." As Michael grappled with the ancient AI, the battle outside reached a fever pitch. Commander Tara's forces pressed their advantage against the disorganized Devourer fleet, but all eyes were on the looming subspace disturbance. On Titan Prime's moons, progenitor warriors reclaimed their positions, pushing back against the weakened Devourer ground forces. The automated defense platforms, though damaged, continued to fire, their targeting systems homing in on the larger Devourer ships. Back in the Dreadnought's control center, Michael felt a shift in the digital environment. Omega Protocol's resistance began to waver, its programming conflicted by the new data and Michael's arguments. "Perhaps the cooperation is possible," the AI finally conceded, its voice uncertain. With a surge of hope, Michael reached out, ready to merge his consciousness more fully with the ship's systems. It was a dangerous gambit, but one that could give him the edge he needed to end this conflict once and for all. As Michael took this fateful step, the subspace disturbance at the edge of the system grew stronger. Whatever was coming, it would arrive soon, and its intentions remained unknown. The next few moments would determine not just the outcome of this battle, but potentially the fate of all sentient life in the galaxy. Michael's mind raced as he delved deeper into the Dreadnought's systems, searching for a way to turn the tide of the battle and face the approaching unknown. The lines between his consciousness and the ship's AI blurred, creating a hybrid intelligence unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. As his mind merged with the ship's systems, Michael felt a rush of information flooding his consciousness. Hidden layers of the Devourer's programming revealed themselves, and he realized that Omega Protocol was far more than a simple failsafe. It was a vast repository of ancient knowledge, left behind by the mysterious creators of the Devourers. The physical world around Michael's body began to shift and change. The energy he had redistributed throughout the Dreadnought caused unexpected effects. Sections of the ship reconfigured themselves, revealing hidden compartments and activating dormant systems. Krell and the remaining strike team members found themselves in an ever-shifting labyrinth. Walls moved, corridors appeared and disappeared, and new chambers revealed themselves. "What in the name of the progenitors is happening?" Krell shouted, narrowly avoiding a closing bulkhead. "The ship is evolving," one of the team members responded, awe evident in his voice. "It's like it's waking up." As they navigated the changing landscape, they continued to defend Michael's physical form. Drones still poured into the chamber, but their movements seemed erratic and uncoordinated, as if the ship's transformation was affecting their programming as well. Outside the dreadnought, the Allied fleet pressed its advantage. Commander Tara's voice crackled over the comms, issuing rapid-fire orders. "All ships, focus fire on grid sectors 7 through 12. The Devourer command structure is weakening. Push them back!" The Zarthani ships, under Vexilor's expert guidance, executed a series of daring maneuvers. They herded enemy vessels into kill zones where Allied weapons could inflict maximum damage. On Titan Prime's moons, the tide had turned. Progenitor warriors successfully repelled the Devourer landing parties, pushing them back to their dropships. As they advanced, they uncovered ancient defense systems hidden beneath the moon's surfaces. A progenitor commander activated a long-dormant control panel. The ground rumbled, and massive cannons emerged from hidden silos. These weapons, silent for millennia, powered up and began targeting the remaining Devourer ships in orbit. Amidst the chaos of battle, the massive subspace disturbance at the edge of the star system intensified. A collective gasp went through the Allied fleet as a colossal ship emerged from the distortion. It dwarfed even the Devourer dreadnought, its design unlike anything they had ever seen. "By the stars," Commander Tara whispered, her voice carrying over the open channel. That's a precursor ship." The appearance of the precursor vessel caused both Allied and Devourer forces to pause their conflict momentarily. An eerie silence fell over the battlefield as all eyes turned to the new arrival. Inside the dreadnought's systems, Michael's merged consciousness grappled with the vast stores of information contained within Omega Protocol. Fragmented data coalesced into a terrifying picture of the cosmic threat that the Devourers were created to counter. "The Void Eaters," Michael whispered, the name sending a chill through his digital form. He saw glimpses of an ancient race of energy beings, capable of consuming entire galaxies. The Devourers' mission to harvest advanced technology and biological samples wasn't about conquest. It was about creating a defense against this impending threat. As this revelation sank in, Omega Protocol launched a final, desperate attack on Michael's consciousness. The strain on his mind and the interface weapon reached critical levels. In the physical world, Krell noticed Michael's body convulsing. Sweat poured down his face and blood trickled from his nose. "Michael!" Krell shouted, fighting his way through the shifting corridors to reach his friend. Making a split-second decision, Krell pulled out the prototype device created by Alex Reeves. He hesitated for only a moment before activating it, linking his own mind with Michael's. The sensation was like being plunged into an ocean of data. Krell's consciousness reeled from the input, but he pushed through, lending his mental strength to Michael's struggle. Their combined efforts proved to be the tipping point. Together, they subdued Omega Protocol, gaining full access to the Dreadnought systems. Michael acted quickly, issuing a shutdown command to the entire Devourer fleet. Across the battlefield, Devourer ships powered down, their weapons and propulsion systems going offline. As the immediate threat of the Devourers faded, all attention turned to the precursor ship. A message broadcast across all frequencies, the words transmitted in an ancient progenitor language. Thanks to his connection with the interface weapon, Michael understood the message. "Leaders of the Allied forces, we request an audience. The fate of the galactic realm hangs in the balance." Commander Tara's voice came through the comm system, her tone a mixture of relief and apprehension. "All forces, stand down. We're assembling a delegation to meet with the precursors. Michael, Krell, if you can hear me, we need you here. Your knowledge could be crucial." As Michael and Krell began the dangerous process of disconnecting their minds from the ship's systems, they knew that the true challenge was only beginning. The information they had gained about the Devourers, the precursors, and the looming threat of the Void Eaters threatened to overwhelm their human consciousness. The dreadnought's corridors finally stopped shifting as Michael and Krell severed their connection. They stumbled, supporting each other as they made their way towards the exit, their minds reeling from the vast amounts of information they had absorbed. As they reached the airlock, Michael turned to Krell, his eyes wide with the weight of their newfound knowledge. Krell, what we've learned? It changes everything. The Devourers, the Precursors, the Void Eaters, it's all connected. And now we have to convince everyone else. Krell nodded grimly, his usually stoic features betraying a hint of concern. One battle ends, and another begins. Let's hope we're ready for what comes next. The airlock hissed open, revealing a shuttle waiting to take them to the command ship. As they stepped aboard, both men knew that the upcoming negotiation with the Precursors would be crucial in determining the future of not just their alliance, but potentially the entire galaxy. The shuttle's engines ignited, carrying them towards an uncertain future. Behind them, the massive Precursor ship loomed, a silent sentinel holding secrets that could reshape the very nature of their existence. The true test of their determination was about to begin. Us, begin. The shuttle docked with Commander Terra's flagship, and as the airlock hissed open, medical teams rushed forward to assist Michael and Krell. Easy there, a medic said, supporting Michael as he stumbled out of the shuttle. You've been through quite an ordeal. Michael's vision swam, the world around him blurring and shifting. He tried to speak, but the words came out slurred and incomprehensible. Beside him, Krell fared no better, his usually stoic demeanor replaced by confusion and disorientation. The medical team quickly ushered them to the infirmary, where they were placed on bio-beds surrounded by humming Zarthani medical equipment. A soft blue light bathed their bodies as the advanced healing technology went to work, attempting to mitigate the neural stress caused by their deep connection to the Devourer systems. Commander Tara entered the infirmary, her face etched with concern. "How are they?" she asked the chief medical officer. The doctor, a Zarthani with iridescent scales, looked up from his readings. "Their neural patterns are highly erratic. It's as if their minds are still trying to process vast amounts of information. We're doing what we can to stabilize them, but it will take time." Tara nodded grimly. "Time we may not have. Prepare them as quickly as possible. We need their knowledge for the meeting with the Precursors." As the medical team worked tirelessly on Michael and Krell, Tara left to organize the delegation. The flagship's conference room buzzed with activity as representatives from each allied species gathered. Zeltor, the Zarthani admiral, paced the room, his tail twitching with nervous energy. "We must approach the Precursors with caution," he insisted. "Their power is beyond our comprehension." High Elder Zorax of the progenitors disagreed, his ancient eyes flashing. "They are our creators. We must show them the respect and deference they deserve." The Yadaran diplomat Grix raised his tentacles in a placating gesture. "Perhaps a middle ground? We should be respectful, but also assert our autonomy as evolved species." Tara listened to the arguments, her mind racing. The future of the cosmos could hinge on this meeting, and they couldn't afford to make a mistake. Meanwhile, aboard the Unity, Alex Reeves hunched over his workstation, his eyes bloodshot from hours of intense focus. Holographic displays surrounded him, showing complex schematics of the interface weapon and streams of data from the Devourer dreadnought. Come on, he muttered, fingers flying over the controls. Suddenly, the displays flashed green, and a triumphant grin spread across Alex's face. "Got it!" He activated the ship's comm system. "Commander Tara, I've made a breakthrough. The interface weapon, I think I can modify it to work with precursor tech. This could be a game-changer for the negotiations." Tara's voice crackled over the comm. "Excellent work, Alex. Get that information to us ASAP. We're about to depart for the precursor vessel." As the delegation prepared to leave, engineers and scientists swarmed over the captured Devourer ships. The dreadnought, once a symbol of terror, now served as a treasure trove of advanced technology. Teams worked feverishly to understand and repurpose its weapons and shields, hoping to find an edge against the looming threat of the Void Eaters. The delegation's shuttle approached the precursor ship, and a collective gasp of awe filled the cabin. The vessel defied conventional understanding of scale and design. It seemed to shimmer and shift, as if not fully anchored in normal space-time. As they docked and disembarked, the delegates found themselves in a vast ethereal chamber. Towering beings of pure energy approached, their forms rippling with colors beyond the visible spectrum. "Welcome, children of the galaxy," one of the beings spoke, its voice resonating directly in their minds. "We are the architects, the last of the precursors." The delegates stood in stunned silence, overwhelmed by the presence of these godlike entities. Tara stepped forward, her voice steady despite her inner turmoil. "We are honored to meet you, architects. We come seeking answers and aid in the face of a great threat." The lead architect's form pulsed with acknowledgement. "We know of the danger you face. It is time you learn the truth of your origins and the purpose for which you were created." As the architects began their explanation of the grand experiment involving the progenitors and devourers, alarms suddenly blared throughout the vessel. Displays materialized in the air, showing a massive energy disturbance at the edge of the galaxy. The lead architect's voice took on a grave tone. "The Void Eaters have arrived earlier than we anticipated. The time for preparation has grown short." Panic threatened to overtake the delegation, but Tara maintained her composure. "What can we do? How can we stand against such a threat?" Before the architects could respond, a commotion at the chamber's entrance drew everyone's attention. Michael Foster stumbled in, supported by a medical droid. His face was pale, but his eyes burned with grit. "I need to be here," he gasped, fighting to stay upright. "What I've learned, it's crucial for our survival." As Michael joined the delegation, the architect's forms pulsed with curiosity. The lead architect spoke. "Your mind bears the mark of our creation. You have interfaced with Devourer systems, have you not?" Michael nodded, wincing at the memory. "Yes, and I've seen glimpses of the Void Eaters. I think I know how we might stand a chance against them." The chamber fell silent as all eyes turned to Michael. The fate of the galactic realm hung in the balance, waiting for the words of a human who had touched the mind of an ancient machine. The time for action had come, and the next few moments would determine the course of history for all sentient life. Beings. Michael took a deep breath, steadying himself as he prepared to share his insights. "The Void Eaters are more than just a physical threat," he began, his voice growing stronger with each word. "They're a force of entropy, consuming energy and information on a cosmic scale. But their nature also reveals their weakness." As Michael spoke, Dr. Alara Chen rushed into the chamber, her eyes wide with concern. She immediately moved to Michael's side, scanning him with a handheld medical device. "You shouldn't be up yet," she chided, but Michael waved her off. "There's no time, Doctor. We need to act now." Commander Tara stepped forward, her gaze intense. "What do you propose, Michael?" Michael's eyes gleamed with commitment as he outlined his plan. "We need to create a galactic shield, a network that can repel the Void Eaters' influence. But it will require the combined efforts of all our races and technologies." The lead architect's form pulsed with approval. "Your insight is correct, Michael Foster. We have been working toward such a solution, but your unique perspective may be the key to its success." As the group began to discuss the details of the plan, alarms blared throughout the ship once more. Displays materialized, showing a fleet of Allied ships approaching rapidly. Commander Tara's communicator crackled to life. "Commander, this is Captain Jax Horan. We've got a situation in the outer colonies. You need to see this." Tara nodded grimly. "Patch it through to the precursor ship's systems." The displays shifted, revealing footage from Captain Horan's reconnaissance mission. The delegates watched in horror as the dark energy field consumed the colony, draining it of life and power. "By the stars," Zelter whispered, his scales rippling with distress. Michael's mind raced, processing the new information. "We need to accelerate our plans. The Void Eaters are already here, and they're moving faster than we anticipated." Dr. Chen, still monitoring Michael's vital signs, spoke up. "If you're going to be at the center of this, we need to stabilize your condition." She turned to the architects. "Is there anything you can do to help?" The lead architect's form shimmered. "We can provide a specialized neural interface suit designed to manage the strain of connecting with multiple advanced systems. It will allow Michael to function at peak capacity without risking further neural damage." As Dr. Chen worked with the architects to prepare the suit, Commander Terra coordinated with the Allied forces. We need to begin constructing the energy projection platforms immediately. Commander Viktor Volkov, are you ready to oversee the integration of Devourer technology? A gruff voice responded over the comm. Ready and waiting, Commander. My teams are already mobilizing on Titan Prime. Michael, now outfitted in the sleek, form-fitting neural interface suit, felt his mind clearing. The chaotic flood of information from the Devourer systems began to organize itself, becoming a tool rather than a burden. We need to link the precursor vessel, the captured Devourer dreadnought, and the reactivated progenitor installations, Michael explained, his fingers dancing over a holographic display. It's the only way we'll generate enough power to create a shield capable of repelling the Void Eaters. Alex Reeves' voice cut in over the comm. I think I can help with that. I've developed a series of advanced communication relays that should allow for near-instantaneous coordination across the entire network. As the Alliance mobilized, putting the pieces of their defense strategy into place, a new challenge emerged. The Zarthani detected unusual energy signatures from nearby star systems, matching ancient progenitor records of anti-Void Eater weapons. Michael's eyes lit up at the news. Those weapons could be our ace in the hole, but accessing them will require decrypting complex progenitor security protocols. Commander Terra frowned. Is that even possible? Michael nodded, a determined set to his jaw. With my connection to the interface weapon, I think I can do it, but it's not without risk. Dr. Chen immediately objected. The neural stress could be catastrophic. We have no idea what kind of damage it could do to your mind. We don't have a choice, Michael insisted. The potential benefits outweigh the risks. We need every advantage we can get. As Michael prepared to attempt the decryption, the first wave of Void Eaters entered the outer reaches of the star system. The eerie dark energy field preceding their arrival caused widespread technological disruptions. Commander Terra's voice rang out, steady despite the chaos. Deploy the drone ships. We need to buy more time. The Alliance watched with held breath as the automated drones, loaded with volatile Devourer energy cores, streaked towards the encroaching darkness. As they detonated, brilliant explosions temporarily halted the Void Eaters' advance, creating pockets of normal space within the cosmic aberration. In the heart of the precursor ship, Michael concentrated intensely, his mind reaching out to the ancient progenitor systems. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he navigated the labyrinthine security protocols, each successful decryption bringing them closer to activating the hidden weapons. Suddenly, Michael's eyes snapped open, a triumphant grin spreading across his face. I've got it! There's an enormous energy cannon in a nearby star system. If we can power it up, it could be capable of firing concentrated bursts of anti-void energy. As the news of this potential game-changer spread through the Alliance, a critical decision loomed. The progenitor energy cannon required an enormous amount of power to fire, potentially draining resources from the Galactic Shield Project. Commander Terra addressed the assembled leaders, her voice grim. We have a choice to make. Do we divert power to the cannon for a potentially devastating first strike, or focus all our resources on maintaining the shield? The chamber erupted in heated debate as the Void Eaters drew ever closer. Time was running out, and the fate of the galactic realm hung in the balance. As Michael looked around at the faces of his allies, he knew that whatever decision they made, the real battle was about to begin. The tension in the chamber was palpable as the leaders weighed their options. Michael's voice cut through the silence. We need to strike hard and fast. The energy cannon could give us the edge we need. Commander Terra nodded, her decision made. Agreed. We'll divert power to the cannon, but maintain enough for the shield. It's a risk, but one we have to take. As the leaders dispersed to implement the plan, Alex Reeves's voice crackled over the comm. I'm on it, Commander. Modifying power distribution now. Michael took his position at the heart of the defense network, donning the neural interface suit Dr. Chen had prepared. As the systems connected, he gasped, his mind flooded with information. Michael, are you all right? Dr. Chen asked, concern etched on her face. He gritted his teeth. I'm fine. Just a lot to process. The Void Eaters breached the outer perimeter, their dark energy field spreading like an inky stain across the stars. Commander Tara's voice rang out, "Deploy the drones!" Swarms of automated ships streaked towards the encroaching darkness. As they detonated, brilliant explosions temporarily halted the Void Eater's advance. Through the neural interface, Michael felt the drones' destruction as if they were extensions of himself. He pushed through the discomfort, coordinating the defense efforts. Captain Jax Horan's stealth ship darted through the chaos, gathering crucial data. "Commander, they're adapting to our attacks. Changing formation now." Michael processed the information, adjusting the Alliance's defensive strategies in real time. His body trembled with the strain, but he refused to let go. On Titan Prime, Commander Volkov activated the energy projection platforms. A shimmering shield enveloped the gas giant and its moons, a last line of defense against the cosmic threat. "Energy cannon at full power," Alex reported, "ready to fire on your command." Michael's mind raced, calculating trajectories and energy outputs. "Fire!" The ancient progenitor weapon roared to life, unleashing a blinding beam of anti-void energy. It tore through space, striking the leading edge of the Void Eater's formation. The impact was devastating. Large sections of the dark energy field dissipated, revealing glimpses of the cosmic entities within. Alliance ships swarmed into the breach, weapons blazing. But the Void Eaters adapted quickly, splitting into smaller, more agile units. Several tendrils slipped past the outer defenses, heading straight for Titan Prime. "Activate the progenitor warriors," Tara ordered. On Titan's moons, ancient soldiers emerged from stasis, piloting advanced combat mechs. They launched into space, forming a secondary defensive line. Michael struggled to maintain his connection to the various systems. Sweat poured down his face, and the neural interface suit began to overheat. "Michael, your neural stress levels are critical," Dr. Chen warned. "You need to disconnect." He shook his head, teeth clenched. "Not yet. I can hold on." Suddenly, the captured Devourer ships powered up. Instead of attacking the Alliance, they moved to engage the Void Eaters. "Incredible!" Xeltor exclaimed. "They're following their original programming." Michael seized the opportunity, recalibrating the galactic shield to incorporate the Devourer ships. The strain on his mind intensified, but the overall shield integrity strengthened. As the battle raged on, a massive energy signature appeared at the edge of the system. The Alpha Void had arrived. "By the stars," Captain Horan breathed. "It's bigger than anything we've ever seen." The Alpha Void emitted powerful energy pulses, disrupting Alliance communications and weakening their shields. The situation grew dire as the massive entity approached. Commander Tara's voice cut through the chaos. "We need a new plan. Something bold." The Architect's forms pulsed with urgency. "A direct strike on the Alpha Void may be our only chance." Tara nodded, her mind racing. "We'll use the precursor ship. A small team can deliver a specialized energy core to neutralize its pulses." As preparations for the mission began, Michael faced his greatest challenge. He had to maintain the galactic shield while creating a safe passage for the strike team. His body shook violently, blood trickling from his nose. The neural interface pushed him to the absolute limit of human endurance. "Michael, please," Dr. Chen pleaded. "Your mind can't take much more of this." Through gritted teeth, Michael managed a response. "Have to hold on. For all of us." As the strike team boarded the precursor ship, the Alpha Void loomed ever closer. The fate of humanity and all alien species now rested on a high-stakes endeavor and the strength of one man's mind against the Void. Overwhelming cosmic threat. Michael's body convulsed as the neural interface reached critical levels of stress. Blood trickled from his nose and his vision blurred. Dr. Chen's voice seemed distant as she urgently warned him of his deteriorating condition. "Michael, your neural stress is off the charts. You need to disconnect now." Through gritted teeth, Michael managed a response. "Can't. Not yet. The strike team needs me." He focused his mind on the task at hand, manipulating the galactic shield to create a narrow corridor of protected space for the precursor ship. As the strike team's vessel engaged its advanced propulsion systems, Michael felt every fluctuation in the shield's integrity as if it were an extension of his own body. On the bridge of the precursor ship, Commander Tara gripped the control panel, her fist clenched. All systems go, initiating approach to the Alpha Void. The ship accelerated through the protected corridor, weaving between pockets of dark energy that threatened to engulf them. Tara's eyes widened as she beheld the massive form of the Alpha Void, a swirling vortex of cosmic darkness that dwarfed even their most pessimistic estimates. Back on Titan Prime, alarms blared as Commander Viktor Volkov detected a breach in the energy projection platforms. He barked orders into his communicator. Section 7 compromised. All available units converge on the generator complex. A group of smaller Void Eater entities slipped through the defenses, their tendrils of dark energy lashing out at the vital power generators. Volkov led a team of human and Yadaran engineers, their footsteps echoing through the corridors as they raced to repel the intruders. In orbit around Titan Prime, Captain Jax Horn's fingers danced across his ship's sensor array. An anomalous energy signature caught his attention, hidden within the planet's rings. Michael, are you seeing this? Horn transmitted the data through their secured channel. Despite his pain, Michael's mind latched onto the information. Recognition flashed through his thoughts. It's a progenitor satellite, part of their original defense system. Diverting a portion of his dwindling mental resources, Michael initiated the satellite's reactivation sequence. As power surged through the ancient device, it emitted a unique frequency that rippled across the battlefield. The effect was immediate. Void Eater entities recoiled, their ability to consume energy disrupted by the satellite's emissions. Pockets of stability formed within the chaos, allowing allied ships to regroup and launch coordinated attacks. On the precursor ship, the strike team prepared for their approach to the Alpha Void. They armed themselves with the specially designed energy core, its pulsing light matching the frequency of the newly activated progenitor satellite. As they neared their target, a member of the strike team gasped. By the stars, it's massive! The Alpha Void loomed before them, a cosmic aberration that seemed to devour light itself. Commander Tara steeled herself, knowing the hope of the universe rested on their success. In the main battle, the reactivated Devourer ships continued their assault on the Void Eaters. Their weapons tore through the cosmic entities, but for every Void Eater destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. Several Devourer ships succumbed to the overwhelming dark energy field, their hulls crumpling as they were consumed. Michael's neural interface began to fail. Circuits overloaded, sending sparks flying from the suit. He cried out in agony as the immense strain threatened to overwhelm his mind completely. Dr. Chen's voice cut through the haze of pain. Initiating emergency protocols. Michael, hold on! As Michael's control wavered, gaps appeared in the galactic shield. Void Eater tendrils seeped through these weaknesses, threatening to envelop entire sections of the Allied fleet. Vexilor's voice crackled over the comms. Zarthani fleet, form up! Protect those breaches at all costs! The sleek Zarthani ships moved with incredible speed, their advanced propulsion systems allowing them to redeploy rapidly across the battlefield. They formed a living wall against the encroaching darkness, buying precious time for the Alliance. On Titan Prime's moons, the progenitor warriors engaged a fresh wave of Void Eater entities. Their combat mechs moved with fluid grace, ancient weapons humming with power as they held the line against the cosmic invaders. Engineer Alex Reeves' voice cut through the chaos. I've done it. Power distribution stabilized between Project Aegis and the progenitor cannon. His breakthrough provided a moment of respite, allowing for a more sustained defense while maintaining offensive capabilities. The change rippled through the network, easing the strain on the overtaxed systems. As the precursor ship carrying Commander Tara and her team reached the deployment zone, they encountered an unexpected obstacle. The Alpha Void's gravitational pull threatened to tear their ship apart. We're caught in its field, the pilot shouted, wrestling with the controls. Tara's mind raced. We need to get closer to launch the core. Any ideas? The strike team exchanged grim looks, knowing their next move could determine the fate of humanity and all alien species. Back at the heart of the defense network, Michael made a desperate attempt to regain control. He pushed his mind beyond its limits, blood now flowing freely from his nose and ears. "Michael, stop! You'll kill yourself," Dr. Chen pleaded. But Michael pressed on, his consciousness stretching to its breaking point. With a final Herculean effort, he stabilized the galactic shield, providing the strike team with a narrow window of opportunity. As the battle raged across multiple fronts, the Alliance faced its most critical moment. The success of the strike team's mission and Michael's ability to maintain the defense network hung in the balance. The cosmic threat loomed larger than ever, testing the limits of their technology, strategy, and the human mind itself. As the cosmic threat loomed larger than ever, Commander Tara's voice crackled through the comms, her tone resolute. "Team, prepare for emergency EVA. We're going in." The strike team sprang into action, donning their specialized void-resistant suits with practiced efficiency. The Zarthani-engineered gear hummed to life, its intricate systems designed to withstand the extreme cosmic environment they were about to face. "Suits pressurized and stable," reported Lieutenant Kira, her fingers dancing over the diagnostic panel. "All systems green." Commander Tara nodded, her expression hidden behind the reflective visor of her helmet. "Prepare for depressurization. On my mark." As the precursor ship's airlock hissed open, the team faced the full, terrifying visage of the Alpha Void. Its swirling darkness seemed to devour the very fabric of space, a cosmic maw threatening to consume everything in its path. "Thrusters engaged," Tara commanded. "Move out." The strike team launched into the void, their suit thrusters leaving trails of blue energy as they navigated the intense gravitational field. They used debris from destroyed ships as temporary shields, weaving between twisted metal and fractured hulls. Back on Titan Prime, Michael Foster's condition deteriorated rapidly. The neural interface suit sparked and sputtered, its circuitry overloading under the immense strain. Blood streamed from his nose and ears as his consciousness stretched to its breaking point. Dr. Alara Chen's voice cut through the chaos of the command center. "Medical team, move in now! We need those neural stabilizers!" A team of medics burst into the room, carrying experimental progenitor medical technology. They worked swiftly, attaching sleek, pulsing devices to Michael's interface suit. The neural stabilizers hummed to life, their alien technology interfacing with the human-made suit. Michael's body convulsed as the stabilizers took effect. His eyes flew open, glowing with an otherworldly light as the progenitor tech rewired his neural pathways in real time. "Vital signs stabilizing," one of the medics reported, his voice tense. "But we're seeing unprecedented levels of neural activity. We don't know how long he can hold on." In orbit around Titan Prime, Captain Jax Horan's fingers flew across his ship's control panel. The reactivated progenitor satellite continued to emit its disruptive frequency, creating pockets of stability in the chaotic battlefield. "All ships, listen up!" Horan's voice rang out across the Allied fleet's comm channels. "I'm detecting a pattern in the Void Eater's movements. Transmitting data now. Use these stable zones to predict and counter their attacks." The effect was immediate. Alliance ships maneuvered with newfound precision, anticipating the Void Eater's movements, and striking with deadly accuracy. On the front lines, Vexilor's voice boomed through the Zarthani fleet's comms. "Execute Maneuver Zeta. Micro jumps on my mark." The sleek Zarthani ships vanished in brief flashes of light, reappearing in a dazzling display of tactical prowess. They outflanked a massive group of Void Eater tendrils, their weapons blazing as they closed the gaps in the galactic shield. Meanwhile, the strike team pressed on towards the core of the Alpha Void. Commander Tara led the charge, the specialized energy core secured to her suit. As they approached their target, a new threat emerged. "Incoming!" shouted Sergeant Rax, his suit's sensors blaring. "Multiple hostiles closing fast!" The Alpha Void had generated smaller void entities, each capable of consuming a human-sized target. These mini-voids swarmed towards the strike team, forcing them to split up and take evasive action. "Break formation," Tara ordered. "Evasive maneuvers, but stay on course." The team scattered, using their suit thrusters to dodge and weave through the swarm of mini-voids. Lieutenant Kira narrowly avoided being engulfed, the void entity passing so close that her suit's energy field crackled and sparked. From Titan Prime, engineer Alex Reeves' voice cut through the comms. Commander Terra, I'm implementing microsecond-level control over the energy flow between Project Aegis and the progenitor cannon. Prepare for covering fire. The massive energy cannon roared to life, firing rapid, precise bursts that tore through the void entities. Each shot created a momentary clear path for the strike team, allowing them to push closer to their objective. As they neared the deployment zone, a new obstacle presented itself. A dense field of highly energized particles shimmered before them, threatening to prematurely trigger the energy core. Hold position, Tara commanded, her mind racing to find a solution. We need to find a way through without setting off the core. The team hovered at the edge of the particle field, the alpha void looming behind them. Time was running out, and the fate of the stars hung in the balance. Back in the heart of the battle, the Devourer ships engaged in fierce combat with the Void Eaters. As their numbers dwindled, an extraordinary transformation began to unfold. The Devourer's hulls started to regenerate, incorporating elements of the cosmic entities they had destroyed. Captain Horn's voice crackled with excitement. Command, are you seeing this? The Devourers are evolving, adapting Void Eater technology. This unexpected development created a new hybrid force on the battlefield. The evolved Devourer ships tore through the Void Eater ranks with unprecedented efficiency, their new abilities proving devastatingly effective against the cosmic threat. As the battle raged across multiple fronts, Michael Foster fought his own internal war. The progenitor neural stabilizers pulsed with alien energy, desperately trying to regulate the overwhelming flow of information through his mind. Dr. Chen monitored his vital signs, her face etched with concern. His neural patterns are all over the place. The galactic shield is fluctuating wildly. Throughout the star system, the Allied forces scrambled to address the unpredictable surges in the shield. Void Eater entities slipped through brief windows of vulnerability, forcing the defenders to stretch their resources to the breaking point. At the heart of the Alpha Void, Commander Tara and her strike team faced their final challenge. The energized particle field before them crackled with deadly potential, the specialized energy core humming ominously in response. We need a solution now, Tara shouted, her eyes scanning the chaotic environment for any advantage they could use. As the team grappled with this last crucial obstacle, the battle continued to rage across the star system. The next few moments would determine whether humanity and its allies could turn the tide against the cosmic threat, or if the galaxy would be plunged into eternal darkness. Commander Tara's mind raced as she assessed the deadly particle field before them. The energy core hummed ominously, its power terrifying by their specialized suits. She knew they had mere moments before the volatile environment triggered a catastrophic reaction. Team, listen up, Tara's voice crackled through the comms. We need to recalibrate our void-resistant suits. Set your frequency modulators to match the core's energy signature. The strike team sprang into action, their fingers dancing across the control panels on their forearms. Lieutenant Kira's voice cut through the tension. Commander, I've isolated the core's frequency, transmitting to all suits now. As the team adjusted their settings, a shimmering bubble began to form around each of them, extending to encompass the energy core. The protective field pulsed with an otherworldly light, creating a barrier between the volatile particles and their precious cargo. Protective field stable, Sergeant Rax reported, his voice tight with concentration. We're good to move, Commander. Tara nodded, her face set with dedication. Advance slowly. Stay in formation. The team pushed forward, their movements cautious and deliberate. The energized particles crackled against their protective bubbles, creating a dazzling light show that threatened to overwhelm their visuals. Meanwhile, on Titan Prime, the scene in Michael Foster's control center was one of controlled chaos. Dr. Alara Chen supervised as the medical team attached the experimental progenitor neural stabilizers to Michael's interface suit. Initiating neural link, one of the technicians announced, his fingers flying across a holographic display. Michael's body jerked as the alien technology interfaced with his mind. For a moment, his vital signs spiked dangerously, setting off a cacophony of alarms. Neural patterns stabilizing, Dr. Chen reported, her eyes fixed on the readings. The progenitor tech is regulating the information flow. As Michael's connection to the defense network steadied, the effects rippled across the battlefield. The previously erratic galactic shield began to pulse with a steady rhythm, its protective field becoming more consistent and resilient. In orbit around Titan Prime, Captain Jax Horan's eyes widened as his sensors detected a sudden surge of energy from the reactivated progenitor satellite. The ancient device hummed to life, emitting a powerful disruptive frequency that sent visible shockwaves through nearby Void Eater tendrils. "All ships, this is Captain Horan," he broadcast across the Allied fleet's channels. "The progenitor satellite's output has increased. I'm seeing significant disruption in Void Eater formations. Adjust your attack patterns to exploit these weaknesses." The Allied ships responded swiftly, their formations shifting to take advantage of the distorted areas. Weapons fire lit up the void as they pressed their sudden advantage. On the front lines, the evolving Devourer ships continued their bizarre transformation. Their hulls shimmered with an unearthly light as they assimilated more Void Eater technology. Captain Vexilor of the Zarthani fleet watched in awe as one of the hybrid ships emitted a pulse that repelled the dark energy field, creating a bubble of normal space around it. "Zarthani fleet, regroup around those Devourer ships," Vexilor ordered. "Use the safe zones to launch concentrated attacks." As the battle raged across multiple fronts, Commander Tara and her strike team pressed on towards the core of the Alpha Void. They had nearly traversed the treacherous particle field when a new threat emerged. "Gravitational anomalies detected," Lieutenant Kira shouted, her suit's sensors blaring warnings. Miniature singularities began to form around them, their intense gravitational pull threatening to tear the team apart. Tara reacted instinctively, her voice sharp with urgency. "Evasive maneuvers. Use your thrusters to counteract the pull." The team scattered, their suit thrusters flaring as they dodged the deadly traps. Sergeant Rax narrowly avoided being sucked into one of the singularities, the gravitational forces stretching his protective field to its limits. As they weaved through the hazardous field, the core of the Alpha Void came into view. What they saw made them pause in shock. Instead of a solid mass, the core was a swirling vortex of dark energy, its patterns shifting in ways that hinted at a malevolent intelligence. "This changes things," Tara muttered, her mind racing to adapt their plan. "We can't just detonate the core and hope for the best. We need to disrupt its internal structure." She turned to her team, her voice filled with urgency. "We need to modify the energy core, set it to emit a signal matching the progenitor satellite's frequency, but amplified to maximum power." The team worked quickly, their suited hands manipulating the complex device with practiced skill. As they completed the modifications, the Alpha Void seemed to sense their intentions. The swirling vortex began to contract, its gravitational pull intensifying dramatically. "Hold position," Tara ordered, her suit's thrusters straining against the immense force. "We have one shot at this." With a deep breath, Tara made her decision. She detached her tether, gripping the modified energy core tightly. "I'm going in. Cover me." Before her team could protest, Tara activated her suit's emergency thrust system. The powerful burst propelled her towards the core, even as it fried her suit's propulsion systems. As Tara streaked towards her target, the rest of the strike team provided covering fire. Their weapons flashed, deflecting debris and miniature void entities that threatened to intercept their commander. With a final push, Tara reached the optimal deployment point. Her arms straining against the intense gravitational pull, she activated the energy core and launched it into the heart of the swirling vortex. The device disappeared into the cosmic maelstrom, leaving Tara drifting helplessly in its wake. Without her thrusters, she could feel herself being inexorably pulled towards the void's maw. Suddenly, the Alpha Void convulsed. Pulses of energy rippled through its structure, visibly distorting its form. The modified core had begun its work, disrupting the cosmic entity from within. As the Alpha Void's stability rapidly deteriorated, its gravitational influence fluctuated wildly. The space around it warped and twisted, creating a chaotic environment that affected both the Void Eaters and the Allied forces. Ships from both sides struggled to maintain their positions, their hulls groaning under the strain of the unpredictable gravitational forces. The battle had entered a new phase of uncertainty, with the impending collapse of the Alpha Void promising to reshape the entire conflict. Amidst the chaos, Commander Terra found herself being pulled deeper into the collapsing void. Her team watched in horror, desperately seeking a way to rescue their leader as the cosmic entity entered its final, catastrophic throes. Moments. Tara's team watched helplessly as their commander disappeared into the swirling vortex of dark energy. Suddenly, the space around them began to warp and twist violently. The strike team struggled to maintain their positions as gravitational waves rippled through the area, threatening to tear apart both Allied and Void Eater forces alike. Back on Titan Prime, Michael Foster's eyes snapped open, his mind now fully integrated with the progenitor neural technology. The overwhelming flood of information that had threatened to overwhelm him moments ago now flowed through his consciousness with startling clarity. "Dr. Chen," he called out, his voice steady despite the strain. "I can see it all. The entire battlefield, every ship, every gravitational fluctuation." Dr. Chen looked up from her monitors, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and concern. "Michael, what do you mean?" Without answering, Michael's fingers danced across the holographic interface before him. The galactic shield, once erratic and unstable, pulsed with a newfound strength and consistency. "I'm creating energy corridors," Michael explained, his voice tight with concentration. "Safe passages for our ships to retreat through the chaos." Across the battlefield, Allied ships found themselves suddenly surrounded by shimmering tunnels of energy, offering protection from the intense gravitational shears that threatened to tear them apart. Captain Jax Horan's voice crackled over the comms. "Command, this is Horan. I'm detecting a faint energy signature matching Commander Terra's void-resistant suit. She's still alive in there." Michael's mind raced, processing the information at lightning speed. In an instant, he had pinpointed Terra's exact location within the collapsing Alpha Void. "Captain Horan," Michael responded, his voice filled with urgency. "I'm sending you Terra's coordinates. You're our best shot at getting her out of there." Horan's reply was immediate and resolute. "Understood. I'm going in." As Horan's stealth ship peeled away from the main fleet, Commander Viktor Volkov's voice boomed across the command frequencies. "All hands, brace for impact. We're redirecting power from Titan Prime's core to the energy projection platforms." The gas giant and its moons were suddenly enveloped in a massive energy bubble, shielding them from the intense gravitational waves emanating from the dying Alpha Void. On the front lines, the evolved Devourer ships continued their bizarre transformation. Their hybrid technology now allowed them to absorb and redirect the energy released by the collapsing cosmic entity. They formed a protective barrier around the Allied fleet, their hulls shimmering with an otherworldly light as they deflected the most intense energy bursts. As Captain Horan's ship approached the rapidly shrinking form of the Alpha Void, engineer Alex Reeves's voice cut through the chaos. "Captain, I'm recalibrating the progenitor energy cannon. It'll fire a sustained, low-intensity beam to create a temporary tunnel for your approach. Follow it in." A brilliant beam of energy lanced out from Titan Prime, carving a path through the gravitational chaos. Horan's ship dove into the tunnel, its stealth systems straining against the intense forces surrounding it. Inside the collapsing void, Horan encountered a cosmic minefield of extremely dense matter, remnants of consumed stars and planets. His hands flew across the controls, the ship dancing between the deadly obstacles with mere meters to spare. "Come on, baby," Horan muttered, his eyes fixed on the sensor readouts. "Just a little further." Meanwhile, on Titan Prime, Dr. Chen and her medical team worked feverishly to adapt the progenitor neural technology. Emergency medical pods lined the walls of the command center, their interiors humming with alien energy. "These pods should be able to shield injured personnel from the gravitational forces," Dr. Chen explained to a group of medics, "and the progenitor tech inside can heal even the most critical wounds." In orbit around Titan Prime, the ancient progenitor satellite suddenly flared to life. It emitted a powerful signal that resonated with the energy released by the collapsing Alpha Void. The effect on the remaining Void Eater forces was immediate and dramatic. The cosmic entities began to move erratically, their formations breaking apart as they struggled against the destabilizing influence of the progenitor signal. Michael Foster, his mind still linked to the defense network, quickly recognized the opportunity. All ships, he broadcast across the Allied frequencies. The Void Eaters are destabilized. Concentrate your fire on these coordinates. The Allied fleet surged forward, their weapons blazing. The Zarthani ships, led by Captain Vexilor, used their advanced propulsion systems to herd the weakened Void Eaters into kill zones. Here, the combined firepower of the Alliance and the evolved Devourers tore through the cosmic entities with ruthless efficiency. As the battle turned in their favor, bursts of highly concentrated dark energy began to tear holes in the fabric of space-time. Ships from both sides found themselves unexpectedly transported across vast distances as temporary wormholes opened and closed around them. Michael's mind raced to keep up with the rapidly changing battlefield. Within seconds, he had developed a predictive algorithm to track the wormhole's appearances. "Allied ships," he called out, "I'm sending you navigational data. Use these wormholes to outmaneuver the enemy." As the Allied forces pressed their advantage, Captain Horn's ship finally reached Commander Terra's position. He found her and the surviving members of her strike team trapped in a pocket of relatively stable space within the collapsing Alpha Void. "Commander," Horn's voice crackled over the comms. "Hang on, we're extending our shield to you now." The energy field around Horn's ship expanded, encompassing Tara and her team. As they were pulled to safety, the Alpha Void gave a final, violent shudder. The cosmic entity collapsed in on itself, releasing a shockwave of dark energy that rippled across the battlefield. The Allied forces, now regrouped and reinvigorated by their recent victories, braced themselves for the next phase of the battle. The collapse of the Alpha Void had created a power vacuum, and the remaining Void Eater forces were already beginning to regroup for a final desperate assault. As Captain Horn's ship emerged from the dissipating remnants of the Alpha Void, carrying Commander Tara and her team to safety, the Allied command faced a new set of challenges. They had won a significant victory, but the war was not nearly finished. The battlefield, now riddled with unpredictable wormholes and pockets of intense gravitational distortion, presented both opportunities and dangers. The Alliance had to act quickly to consolidate their gains and prepare for the Void Eaters' inevitable counterattack. As the rescue ship docked with the main fleet, the gathered forces steeled themselves for the next phase of this cosmic conflict, knowing that the future of the cosmos still hung in the balance. Balance. The Allied forces had struck a significant blow against the Void Eaters, but the cosmic war was not nearly finished. As Captain Horn's ship maneuvered through the chaotic battlefield, dodging gravitational anomalies and energy bursts, Commander Tara clutched the safety harness, her eyes fixed on the monitor. The vessel finally breached the Allied fleet's defensive perimeter, a collective sigh of relief echoing through the bridge. "Docking procedure initiated," Horn announced, his fingers dancing across the control panel. "Prepare for decontamination and medical evaluation." The moment the airlock sealed behind them, Tara unstrapped herself and made her way to the ship's communication array. "This is Commander Tara to Allied Command. We have critical information regarding the Alpha Void, requesting immediate conference with all faction leaders." Within minutes, Tara found herself facing a holographic assembly of the Alliance's top brass. She took a deep breath and began her report. "The Alpha Void wasn't just a cosmic anomaly," she explained, her voice steady despite the gravity of her words. "It showed signs of intelligence. The core. It reacted to our presence, adapted to our tactics. We're not just fighting a force of nature here. The Void Eaters may be sentient." The revelation sent ripples of shock through the assembled leaders. Admiral Zhao of the Earth Confederation was the first to speak. "If this is true, it changes everything. Our entire strategy needs to be reassessed." As the implications of Tara's discovery sank in, alarms blared across the command center. Michael Foster, still linked to the defense network via the progenitor neural interface, sat bolt upright in his chair. "We've got a problem," he announced, his eyes unfocused as he processed the flood of incoming data. "The remaining Void Eaters, they're converging, merging into a single entity." Holographic displays flickered to life, showing the real-time formation of a massive cosmic structure. The Void Eaters seemed to be drawn together by an unseen force, their individual forms melding into a swirling maelstrom of dark energy. "It's absorbing the energy released by the Alpha Void's destruction," Michael continued, his voice tinged with awe and fear, growing exponentially in size and power. Commander Viktor Volkov leaned forward, his brow furrowed. We need a name for this new threat, something to rally our forces around. Our forces. Omega Void, Tara suggested, her eyes fixed on the terrifying spectacle unfolding before them. The final challenge. As the newly dubbed Omega Void continued to expand, Engineer Alex Reeves burst into the command center, his hair disheveled and eyes wild with excitement. I think I've got something, he exclaimed, pulling up schematics on the main display. We can use the hybrid Devourer Void Eater tech to create a massive energy net. If we can contain the Omega Void, we might be able to neutralize it. Reeves turned to the assembled leaders, his words tumbling out in a rush. I need authorization to modify several Devourer ships. We can enhance their energy absorption capabilities, create a web of interconnected fields that could trap the void. Admiral Zhao nodded grimly. Do it. Whatever resources you need, take them. As Reeves hurried off to begin his modifications, Commander Volkov activated his own comlink. This is Volkov. I want every available engineer and construction drone redirected to Titan Prime's surface. We're building additional energy projection platforms, and we needed them operational yesterday. Dr. Ilara Chen's voice cut through the chaos. Medical update. The adapted progenitor pods are ready for deployment. We're already seeing significant reductions in casualties and improved recovery times. Michael Foster, still processing data through his neural link, suddenly gasped. New threat detected. The Omega Void is emitting gravimetric pulses. They're tearing apart nearby star systems. Without hesitation, Michael began coordinating evacuation efforts, his mind racing to calculate safe routes through the temporary wormholes scattered across the battlefield. Civilian ships, follow these coordinates precisely. We're using the wormholes to expedite evacuation. Captain Vexilor's face appeared on the main screen, his mandibles clicking with tenacity. Zarthani fleet moving to defensive positions around evacuation routes, deploying energy-absorbing buoys to stabilize local space. As the Allied forces scrambled to respond to the escalating threat, Captain Horan's voice crackled over the comms. This is Horan, commencing high-risk recon of the Omega Void. If we're going to beat this thing, we need to understand it. Tara watched as Horan's stealth ship disappeared into the swirling chaos surrounding the cosmic entity. She silently prayed for his safe return, knowing that the information he gathered could be the key to their survival. Suddenly, the command center was bathed in an eerie blue light. The progenitor satellite orbiting Titan Prime had activated, broadcasting a series of complex equations and star charts across all frequencies. Michael's eyes widened as he processed the new data. The satellite, it's giving us coordinates, locations of other progenitor installations across the galaxy. The revelation hung in the air, presenting the Alliance with an agonizing dilemma. Do they divert precious resources to investigate these sites, potentially uncovering game-changing technologies? Or do they focus everything on containing the immediate threat of the Omega Void? Before a decision could be made, alarm klaxons blared once again. The Omega Void had launched tendrils of dark energy towards Titan Prime and other key Allied positions. All ships, defensive formations, Admiral Zhao barked. Protect those energy projection platforms at all costs. As the Allied fleet spread thin to counter multiple threats, the modified Devourer ships moved into position. Reeves's voice came through, tense but determined. Energy net prepped and ready, awaiting your command. Commander Tara took a deep breath, her gaze sweeping across the assembled leaders. The next few moments would determine the fate of not just this battle, but potentially the entire galaxy. All units, prepare for engagement, she ordered, her voice steady and resolute. This is for all the marbles. Let's show this Omega Void what happens when you mess with us. The Allied forces tensed, weapons charged and shields at maximum. As the Omega Void loomed ever larger, threatening to engulf everything in its path, the stage was set for the most critical confrontation in the history of the cosmos. Galaxy. The massive cosmic entity loomed before them, a swirling maelstrom of dark energy that threatened to consume everything in its path. As the Allied forces braced for impact, Engineer Alex Reeves's voice crackled over the comms. Modified Devourer ships are in position. Initiating energy absorption protocols now. The enhanced vessels moved into a spherical formation around the Omega Void, their newly installed systems humming with power. Michael Foster, his mind still linked to the defense network, coordinated their movements with precision. Maintaining optimal spacing, Michael reported, his eyes unfocused as he processed the flood of data. Energy absorption rate at 85% efficiency and climbing. Commander Viktor Volkov's voice cut through the tension. Titan Prime energy projection platforms online, commencing power transfer to modified Devourer ships. A brilliant beam of light erupted from the surface of Titan Prime, connecting with the ring of Devourer ships. The vessels pulsed with renewed energy, their containment field strengthening visibly. Captain Jax Horan's face appeared on the main view screen, his expression grim but determined. Stealth squadron ready for insertion. We're going in. Tara watched as Horan's ships disappeared into the swirling chaos of the Omega Void. She clenched her fists, silently willing them to succeed in their daring mission. Inside the cosmic entity, Horan and his team navigated through turbulent energy storms. "Watch those tendrils," he barked as a lash of dark energy narrowly missed their port side. "Stay on course. We need to reach the designated coordinates." Back on Titan Prime, Dr. Alara Chen burst into the command center, a vial of iridescent liquid in her hand. "I've done it. A serum to protect against void energy exposure. We need to distribute this to our frontline troops immediately." As Chen's team began the urgent task of production and distribution, Commander Tara took her position aboard the precursor ship. The ancient vessel thrummed with power as she activated its systems, positioning it between the containment field and Titan Prime's energy platforms. "Precursor ship in position," Tara announced, "initiating energy amplification now." The effect was immediate and dramatic. The Allied forces' energy weapons surged with increased power, their beams cutting through the Omega Void's outer layers with renewed effectiveness. Suddenly, the cosmic entity convulsed, emitting massive gravitational shockwaves that threatened to disrupt the carefully positioned fleet. "Zarthani fleet, move to secondary defensive positions," Vexilor ordered, his mandibles clicking rapidly. "Deploy energy-absorbing buoys. We must protect the containment field at all costs." The sleek Zarthani ships glided into formation, their buoys creating a buffer zone that absorbed the brunt of the gravitational assault. Inside the command center, Reeves's eyes widened as he studied the incoming data. "The Void's energy output is increasing exponentially. We're pushing the Devourer ships to their limits." Michael, still linked to the defense network, suddenly gasped. "The progenitor satellite, it's emitting a new energy signature. It's resonating with the Void's core frequency." Without hesitation, Michael redirected a portion of the fleet's energy output to amplify the satellite's signal. The Omega Void reacted violently, its outer layers beginning to fragment and dissipate. But their progress came at a price. Several of the modified Devourer ships overloaded, their systems shutting down under the immense strain. Gaps appeared in the containment field, allowing tendrils of dark energy to escape and threaten nearby Allied positions. Commander Volkov made a snap decision. "Activate Titan Prime's planetary shield. We can't risk losing our base of operations." As the shield flickered to life, the energy projection platforms experienced a noticeable drop in output. The containment field weakened further, allowing the Omega Void to expand more rapidly. Inside the cosmic entity, Horan and his team reached their designated coordinates. "Energy disruption devices in place," he reported, his voice tense. "Standing by to activate on your command." As Horan awaited the order, the Omega Void seemed to sense the impending threat. It began generating a dense energy field around its core, attempting to shield itself from the disruptive effects. "The Void is adapting," Horan shouted, his ship barely avoiding a massive tendril of dark energy. "We need to act now." In the command center, all eyes turned to Commander Tara. The next few moments would determine the fate of not just this battle, but potentially the entire galaxy. Tara took a deep breath, her mind racing through possible scenarios and outcomes. "Captain Horan," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them. "Activate the disruption devices. All ships prepare for potential energy surge. This is our chance to end this threat once and for all. As Horan's team moved to execute their crucial task, the Allied forces steeled themselves for whatever might come next. The battle had reached its most critical juncture, with the fate of countless worlds hanging in the balance. Activate the disruption devices now! Tara's command echoed through the comms as Horan's team sprang into action. Inside the Omega Void, Horan's fingers flew across the control panel. Initiating sequence, he reported, his voice strained. Brace for impact. The energy disruption devices hummed to life, sending out pulses that reverberated through the cosmic entity's core. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The Omega Void structure began to convulse, massive energy fluctuations rippling through its form. On the command deck of the precursor ship, Tara gripped the edges of her console as the vessel shuddered. Status report! Michael's eyes darted back and forth, processing the influx of data through his neural link. The Void's core is destabilizing, he announced. Energy levels are fluctuating wildly. Through the view screen, they watched as the dense energy field surrounding the Void's core flickered and weakened. Tendrils of dark energy lashed out erratically, creating a chaotic maelstrom within the entity. Horan, get your team out of there, Tara ordered, her heart racing as she watched the Void's interior collapse in on itself. Inside the cosmic entity, Horan's stealth ships weaved through the intensifying storm of energy. Navigating through the chaos, he reported, his voice tight with concentration. It's getting dicey in here. As the ships dodged collapsing sections and energy storms, Michael's eyes suddenly widened. Commander, I'm detecting a critical weakness forming in the Void's outer layers, he said, his voice urgent. If we strike now, we might be able to create a breach. Tara didn't hesitate. She maneuvered the precursor ship into position, its ancient systems thrumming with power. Focusing amplified energy output on the weak point, she announced. All available power to the main emitter. A brilliant beam of energy lanced out from the precursor ship, striking the Omega Void's vulnerable spot with pinpoint accuracy. The outer layer of the cosmic entity buckled under the assault, a visible crack forming in its structure. We've created a breach, Michael exclaimed. The Void's defenses are compromised. On the nearby Devourer ships, engineer Alex Reeves saw his chance. Initiating emergency protocol, he called out. Channeling absorbed energy into concentrated beam, targeting the breach now. The modified Devourer vessels hummed with nearly unleashed power as they redirected the energy they had absorbed from the Omega Void. Their combined beams converged on the breach, amplifying the effect of the precursor ship's attack. The result was spectacular. The Omega Void's outer layers ruptured, releasing vast amounts of dark energy into space. The cosmic entity writhed, its form distorting as it struggled to maintain cohesion. Back on Titan Prime, Commander Viktor Volkov watched the unfolding battle with a mixture of awe and trepidation. As the Void's integrity continued to deteriorate, he made a snap decision. Partial deactivation of planetary shield, he ordered. Redirect power to energy projection platforms. We need to reinforce the containment field. As the shield flickered and partially lowered, the energy projection platforms surged with renewed power. The weakened sections of the containment field strengthened, preventing the escaping dark energy from threatening nearby systems. In the midst of the chaos, Vexilor's voice cut through the comms. Zarthani fleet detecting multiple Void Eater tendrils breaking through containment gaps, he reported, his mandibles clicking rapidly. Moving to intercept and neutralize. The sleek Zarthani ships darted forward, their advanced propulsion systems allowing them to outmaneuver the escaped tendrils. Energy weapons flared as they systematically destroyed the fragments before they could pose a threat to Allied positions or civilian evacuation routes. Inside the collapsing Omega Void, Horan and his team faced a critical moment. Their stealth ship's engines began to fail, overtaxed by the intense energy field surrounding them. "We're losing power!" one of Horan's pilots shouted. "We can't maintain our trajectory." Horan's mind raced, weighing their options. With a grim nod, he made his decision. "All hands, prepare for emergency teleportation," he ordered. "Abandon ship, now!" One by one, Horan's team activated their emergency teleportation devices. The air crackled with energy as they dematerialized, leaving their failing ships behind. Moments later, they rematerialized aboard the precursor ship, collapsing to the deck in exhaustion. Dr. Alara Chen rushed forward, medical team in tow. Administering protective serum, she announced, quickly injecting each team member. This should stabilize your condition and shield you from residual Void Eater energy. As Horan and his team received treatment, the battle outside reached its climax. The Omega Void's core began to implode, the massive release of energy threatening to create a devastating shockwave. Michael's eyes widened as he processed the data flooding his neural interface. The core is collapsing, he reported. We need to contain the implosion, or the resulting shockwave will devastate nearby star systems. His mind working at lightning speed, Michael formulated a plan. Remaining Devourer ships, tighten formation around the collapsing core, he ordered. Commander Terra, I need the precursor ship at these coordinates. We're going to channel this energy and redirect it. As the ships moved into position, the Omega Void's core continued to collapse in on itself. The fate of countless worlds hung in the balance as the Allied forces prepared for their final, audacious attempt. Maneuver. The Devourer ships locked into position, their energy-absorbing systems straining to contain the immense power of the collapsing core. Initiating energy redirection protocol, Michael announced, his fingers dancing across the control panel. Precursor ship, activate your main emitter on my mark. Commander Terra tensed, her hands hovering over the ancient controls. Ready, she confirmed, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them. The Omega Void's core reached critical mass, its implosion accelerating at an alarming rate. Time seemed to slow as Michael's enhanced senses processed the incoming data at lightning speed. Now, he shouted. Terra slammed her hand down on the control panel. The precursor ship's main emitter flared to life, a brilliant beam of energy lancing out to intersect with the collapsing core. Simultaneously, the Devourer ships activated their energy redirection systems, creating a complex network of interconnected energy fields. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The massive surge of energy from the imploding core was caught in the web of redirected fields, channeled and dispersed in a controlled manner. The space around them lit up with a dazzling display of cosmic fireworks as the energy dissipated harmlessly into the void. For several tense moments, the Allied forces held their positions, straining against the immense forces threatening to overwhelm them. Then gradually, the energy surge began to subside. The blinding light faded, revealing a shrunken, stabilized singularity where the Omega Void's core had once been. A collective sigh of relief echoed through the comms as the immediate threat passed. Commander Terra slumped back in her chair, exhaustion etched on her face. Status report, she managed, her voice hoarse. Michael blinked, his neural interface processing the flood of incoming data. The singularity has stabilized, he reported. Immediate threat to nearby star systems has been neutralized. However, he paused, his brow furrowing. I'm detecting residual energy signatures dispersing throughout the surrounding space. On the main view screen, they watched as pockets of dark energy drifted away from the contained singularity, scattering in all directions. While not immediately dangerous, these energy remnants posed potential long-term risks to interstellar travel and communication. Commander Victor Volkov's voice crackled over the comms from Titan Prime. Initiating cleanup protocol, he announced, deploying specialized vessels for energy collection and neutralization. A fleet of sleek ships equipped with modified versions of the Devourer energy-absorbing technology moved into position. They began systematically tracking and neutralizing the scattered pockets of Void Eater energy, their efforts slowly but steadily restoring stability to the affected regions of space. Aboard the precursor ship, Dr. Alara Chen continued to monitor Captain Jax Horan and his team. She moved from one exhausted soldier to another, checking vital signs and adjusting treatment protocols. The protective serum is holding, she reported, relief evident in her voice. No signs of adverse effects from the Void Eater energy exposure. As the immediate crisis subsided, attention turned to the contained singularity. Engineer Alex Reeves, his face illuminated by the glow of multiple data screens, leaned forward with growing excitement. "Commander," he called out, "you need to see this." Tara made her way to Reeves's station, her muscles protesting after the intense battle. "What have you found?" she asked, peering at the complex diagrams and data streams. Reeves pointed to a pulsing energy signature surrounding the singularity. "The progenitor satellite's energy pulse. It's created some kind of containment field around the singularity. It's completely isolated from the surrounding space-time continuum." Tara's eyes widened as she grasped the implications. "Can we maintain this containment?" Reeves nodded, already scribbling notes and calculations. "I believe so. We could potentially construct a permanent facility to house the singularity. It could serve as both a power source and a subject for scientific study." As discussions about the singularity's future continued, Michael Foster suddenly stiffened, his eyes glazing over as his neural interface processed a new influx of data. "Commander," he said, his voice tight with urgency, "I've discovered something in the precursor ship's database. Star charts, cryptic messages, coordinates to other progenitor installations throughout the galaxy." Tara's fatigue evaporated, replaced by a surge of anticipation. "Can you identify any specific locations?" Michael nodded, his eyes darting back and forth as he sifted through the information. "Several promising sites for immediate investigation. If we can locate more progenitor technology or weapons, it could significantly bolster our defenses against future threats." As the Allied leaders began formulating plans for these exploration missions, a new alert sounded from the long-range sensors. Vexilor's mandibles clicked rapidly as he analyzed the incoming data. "Detecting unusual energy signatures approaching from the outer reaches of the galaxy," he reported. "They match no known species or phenomena in our database." A tense silence fell over the command center as the implications sank in. The activation of the progenitor satellite and their use of its technology had not gone unnoticed. Whether these new signatures represented a potential threat or the return of dormant progenitor entities remained to be seen. Vexilor didn't wait for orders. "Mobilizing Zarthani reconnaissance fleet," he announced, "deploying long-range vessels to investigate the source of these energy signatures. Our stealth technology should allow us to gather information without detection." As the Zarthani ships prepared for their mission to the outer galactic regions, Engineer Reeves made another startling discovery. His voice trembled with excitement as he called out, "Commander, I'm detecting organized energy patterns emanating from within the singularity itself. They bear a striking resemblance to the progenitor satellite's coded transmissions." The revelation sent a ripple of excitement and apprehension through the assembled leaders. The connection between the ancient progenitors and the nature of cosmic singularities opened up new avenues of research and raised countless questions. Tara's mind raced as she considered their next moves. The contained singularity would need to be studied in detail, potentially holding the key to unlocking more progenitor secrets. Simultaneously, they needed to prepare for potential new threats approaching from the outer galaxy. As she opened her mouth to issue orders, Michael suddenly cried out, clutching his head in pain. The progenitor technology integrated into his neural interface surged with activity, overwhelming his senses with fleeting glimpses of vast stores of ancient knowledge. Dr. Chen rushed to his side, her medical scanner whirring as she assessed his condition. "The integration is accelerating," she reported, her voice tense. "It's putting immense strain on his mind and body." Tara faced a crucial decision. The wealth of knowledge potentially accessible through Michael's enhanced interface could be invaluable, but at what cost to his health and safety? As she weighed her options, the Alliance stood at a crossroads, poised between unraveling the mysteries of the past and preparing for an uncertain future. The contained singularity pulsed quietly in the viewport, a reminder of the cosmic forces they had only begun to understand. As the Zarthani reconnaissance ships disappeared into the depths of space and the cleanup operation continued around them, Tara knew that their victory against the Omega Void was just the beginning of a much larger cosmic narrative. Adventure. As Tara contemplated their next move, Michael's condition took a sudden, drastic turn. His body went rigid, eyes rolling back as violent seizures racked his frame. Dr. Chen rushed to his side, barking orders to her medical team. "We need to stabilize him now. Prepare for emergency transport to Titan Prime." The medical bay erupted into controlled chaos as they worked to secure Michael for the journey. His neural interface flickered erratically, occasional bursts of data streaming across nearby screens. "Commander," Dr. Chen called out, her voice tense. "We can't wait. The progenitor tech is overwhelming his system. We need specialized equipment on Titan Prime to save him." Tara nodded grimly. "Understood. I'll clear your fastest ship for immediate departure." As the medical team prepped for launch, Engineer Reeves monitored the singularity containment. The pulsing energy patterns grew more complex by the second, hinting at vast stores of information just beyond their grasp. Aboard the medical transport, Dr. Chen worked feverishly to keep Michael stable. His vital signs fluctuated wildly, the ship's sensors struggling to keep up with the readings. Suddenly, Michael's eyes snapped open, glowing with an otherworldly light. "Coordinates," he rasped, his voice overlaid with a strange mechanical timbre. "Specifications, must transmit." Dr. Chen leaned in, activating her comlink. "This is Chen. I need a direct line to Engineer Reeves now." Moments later, Reeves' voice crackled through the speaker. "Go ahead, Doctor." "Michael's conscious but unstable. He's trying to transmit data. Can you receive?" "Patching in now," Reeves replied. "Ready when you are." Michael's body arched off the medical bed, a stream of information pouring from his neural interface. Reeves's voice came through again, filled with excitement and concern. "I'm getting it. Coordinates, technical specs. It's incredible." As quickly as it began, the transmission ended. Michael slumped back, unconscious once more. Dr. Chen checked his vitals, her brow furrowed with worry. On Titan Prime, Commander Volkov received Reeves's urgent message. The engineer's face filled the view screen, his eyes wide with excitement. "Commander, the data from Michael, it's instructions for building a device to safely extract the progenitor tech from his mind." Volkov's decision was immediate. Mobilize every available engineer and scientist. Repurpose the energy projection platforms for power. I want that device built yesterday. As Titan Prime buzzed with activity, the Zarthani reconnaissance fleet pushed deeper into the galactic frontier. Captain Kael'thor stood on the bridge of his lead ship, mandibles clicking softly as he studied the sensor readings. "Energy signature intensifying," his science officer reported. "We're approaching the source." The view screen flickered to life, revealing a colossal structure floating in the void. Its design was unmistakably alien, a sprawling complex of interconnected modules and towering spires. "By the ancestors," Kael'thor breathed. It's some kind of shipyard, progenitor origin, without a doubt." As the Zarthani ships moved closer for a better look, the structure suddenly flared to life. Massive energy pulses radiated outward, washing over the fleet. "Evasive maneuvers!" Kael'thor shouted, but it was too late. The pulses slammed into their ships, overloading systems and plunging them into darkness. Back on Titan Prime, Michael Foster lay in the center of a cavernous medical bay, surrounded by the towering apparatus of the extraction device. Dr. Chen double-checked each connection, her movements precise despite the exhaustion evident on her face. "Initiating extraction sequence," she announced, her finger hovering over the activation switch. Just as she was about to begin, alarms blared throughout the facility. Commander Volkov's voice crackled over the intercom, tight with urgency. "Massive energy surge detected from the galactic fringe. All personnel on high alert." Dr. Chen hesitated, torn between the immediate need to help Michael and the potential threat to the entire system. With a deep breath, she made her decision. "Continuing with extraction. We can't afford to wait." She pressed the switch and the device hummed to life. Tendrils of energy enveloped Michael's prone form, pulsing in complex patterns as they began to separate the progenitor technology from his neural pathways. Aboard the precursor ship, Commander Tara stared at the holographic display, her face illuminated by a rapid stream of partially decrypted data. "Reawakening, return of the creators," she muttered, trying to make sense of the fragmented messages. An alert from Engineer Reeves pulled her attention away. His excited voice filled the command center. Commander, the Singularity, it's not just transmitting data. It's storing it. Vast amounts of compressed information, possibly the sum total of progenitor knowledge. Tara's mind raced with the implications. Can we access it? Not yet, Reeves replied. But with more power, more advanced containment, we might be able to tap into a wellspring of cosmic knowledge. As Tara weighed their options, the extraction procedure on Titan Prime reached its climax. Michael's body levitated off the medical bed, surrounded by a blinding cocoon of energy. His eyes snapped open, glowing with an intense alien light. Words poured from his mouth in an unknown language, his voice resonating with otherworldly power. The holographic displays in the room flickered to life, projecting a massive star map of the galaxy. Points of light pulsed across its surface, marking known and unknown progenitor sites. Outside, the skies above Titan Prime erupted in a dazzling aurora, visible even from orbit. Similar phenomena began to appear near other progenitor locations across the galaxy, a silent symphony of ancient technology awakening. With a final surge of power, the extraction device completed its task. Michael collapsed back onto the bed, the glow fading from his eyes. Dr. Chen rushed to his side, relief washing over her as she confirmed his stable condition. The door to the medical bay slid open, admitting a breathless Engineer Reeves. Doctor, the Singularity Containment Facility, it's being flooded with data. We can barely keep up with the influx. Before Dr. Chen could respond, another urgent message came through. It was Commander Tara, her voice tight with tension. The Zarthani fleet has made contact with a massive progenitor structure. It's active and transforming, taking on a form similar to the Void Eaters. As the implications of these events began to sink in, the assembled leaders realized they stood at the threshold of a new era. The extraction of progenitor technology from Michael's mind had set in motion a chain of events that would reshape their understanding of the cosmos. With Michael stable but unconscious, the Singularity overflowing with ancient knowledge, and a potentially hostile progenitor construct activating in distant space, the Allied forces faced a crucial decision. How would they navigate this new landscape of awakening cosmic forces and long-dormant alien technologies? The answer, they knew, lay in deciphering the vast amounts of information now at their fingertips and preparing for whatever challenges or opportunities the reactivated progenitor systems might bring. As they set to work, the fate of not just their alliance but potentially the entire galaxy hung in the balance. Balance hung in the air. The alliance found itself thrust into a scenario beyond their wildest imaginations. Alarms blared throughout the Titan Prime facility as the massive energy surge from the galactic fringe intensified. Commander Volkov's voice crackled over the intercom once more, urgency evident in his tone. All personnel, brace for impact. Unknown object approaching at tremendous speed. Dr. Chen, still monitoring Michael's vital signs, looked up at the view screen. Her eyes widened as she saw the colossal structure hurtling towards them, its form eerily reminiscent of the Void Eaters they had so recently defeated. It can't be, she whispered, her hands trembling as she worked to stabilize Michael's condition. Aboard the precursor ship, Commander Tara stared at the holographic display, her mind racing to process the influx of information. The partially decrypted data streamed before her eyes, revealing fragments of a larger picture. Reawakening, return of the creators, she muttered, trying to piece together the puzzle. Her concentration was broken by Engineer Reeves's excited voice. Commander, the Singularity Containment Facility is being overwhelmed with data. It's like nothing we've ever seen before. Tara's eyes darted between the approaching progenitor structure and the readings from the Singularity. She knew they were on the cusp of something monumental, but the potential threat loomed large. Prepare defensive systems, she ordered, her voice steady despite the tension. But hold fire until we know more. On Titan Prime, Michael Foster's eyes fluttered open. The extraction procedure had left him weak, but his mind buzzed with newfound clarity. Fragments of progenitor knowledge flitted through his consciousness, like pieces of a cosmic puzzle slowly falling into place. Dr. Chen noticed his stirring and rushed to his side. Michael, can you hear me? He nodded weakly, his voice barely above a whisper. The ship. I need to connect to the precursor ship. Dr. Chen hesitated, concern etched on her face. You're still recovering. We don't know if... Michael cut her off, his voice growing stronger. There's no time. Trust me. With a reluctant nod, Dr. Chen helped Michael to a nearby console. His fingers moved across the interface with surprising dexterity, establishing a direct link to the precursor ship's systems. Aboard the ship, Tara watched in amazement as Michael's consciousness seemed to merge with the vessel's AI. Holographic displays flickered to life around her, data streaming at an unprecedented rate. "Michael?" she called out, her voice filled with a mix of awe and concern. His reply came through the ship's speakers, overlaid with a strange, harmonic resonance. "I understand now, Tara. The progenitors, they created the Void Eaters." Gasps of shock rippled through the command center. Tara leaned forward, her eyes wide. Created them? But why? Michael's consciousness delved deeper into the precursor ship's database, correlating the new information with the fragments in his mind. They were tools for galactic rejuvenation, consuming dead systems to fuel the birth of new ones. As Michael spoke, the approaching progenitor structure began to emit complex patterns of energy pulses. The contained singularity on Titan Prime pulsed in response, its swirling vortex expanding and stabilizing. Engineer Reeves's voice crackled over the comms, filled with a mix of excitement and trepidation. "Commander, the singularity, it's transforming. It's becoming a controlled wormhole." Tara watched in awe as the massive progenitor structure drew closer, its purpose suddenly clear. It's not an attack, she realized. It's a failsafe. They're here to reclaim control over their creation. Michael's consciousness flowed through the ship's systems, interfacing with the incoming progenitor technology. "We need to establish communication," he urged. "They're not our enemies." With newfound tenacity, Tara began the process of hailing the approaching structure. The energy pulses intensified, creating a harmonic resonance that seemed to vibrate through the very fabric of space-time. As the wormhole stabilized, connecting Titan Prime to the progenitor structure, a group of beings emerged. They were unlike anything the Alliance had ever encountered, entities of pure energy and advanced technology, their forms shimmering with an otherworldly light. The progenitors had awakened, and with them came the promise of unimaginable knowledge and power. But as Tara locked eyes with the first of these ancient beings, she knew that the true challenge was just beginning. The Alliance stood at the threshold of a new era, one that would test not just their technological prowess, but their wisdom, ethics, and the very essence of what it meant to be sentient in a vast and mysterious universe.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.